following is a live presentation of CBC Sports.
Paisley, Scotland is the host city for the 2005 Ford World Women's Curling Championship. Canada's Jennifer Jones finished third in round-robin play with a record of 8-3, including a victory over her playoff opponent today, Nordby of Norway. Nordby is playing in her 18th World Championship, having won in 1990 and 91. She made it to this game with a tie-breaking win over Russia. So today, Jones versus Nordby in the 3-4 game at the Ford World Women's Curling Championship. "11 kilometers west of Glasgow, you'll find Paisley, Scotland, where the first written record of curling took place in 1541. For the past week, the best women's curlers in the world have been participating in the 2005 Ford World Championships inside the Lagoon Leisure Centre. And in today's 3-4 page playoff game, it's Canada's Jennifer Jones, 8-3 in round-robin competition against 7-4 Nordby of Norway. Hi everybody, I'm Don Whitman. Welcome to the Lagoon Leisure Centre in Paisley, Scotland. It's been an interesting week. There has been a lot of talk about ice conditions that have proven very difficult for some of the curlers participating in this year's Ford World Championship. This is the first year that the men's and women's events have been separated since they were combined back in 1989. And in this year's playdowns, the top team during the week of round-robin competition came from Sweden, as Annette Norberg and her squad posted a perfect record of 11-0. Cassie Johnson of the United States finished in second place at 10-1, and Canada's Jennifer Jones with an 8-3 mark grabbed third place, while Nordby at 7-4 tied with Russia, and she captured fourth place with a tiebreaker win yesterday. So in the page playoff system, it was the United States and Sweden, and Cassie Johnson avenged her round-robin loss by defeating Sweden in the 1-versus-2 page playoff game to advance to the championship game tomorrow, and it will be Canada's Jennifer Jones playing Nordby of Norway in the 3-4 game, with the winner meeting Sweden's Annette Norberg in the semifinal later today. And as usual, I'm joined by Joan McCusker and Mike Harris. And Mike, Jennifer Jones had some problems earlier in the week with ice conditions here at the Leisure Centre. She feels, however, that all things have been rectified going into this 3-4 game.
Well, I think she hopes so, and much has been made about the ice conditions here, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But Jennifer Jones and her team, bottom line, they've struggled. They haven't played very well. The top three teams in the playoffs are Norway, Sweden, and USA. Their records reflect that. Canada at 8-3 was 7th overall for the week. They're going to have to pick up their numbers if they want to compete with Nordby today.
Well, Nordby is no stranger to curling fans around the world. This is her 18th World Championship. She won the title in 90 and 91. You played her a couple of times in 93 and 97.
She's very, very good. She's the top example of a wily veteran. This team from Norway has a lot of experience. They are afraid of no one. They love to play Canada. Often will save their best game to play against the Canadians. And she's unpredictable. She'll look at that Canadian team, change her strategy to try to make the most out of what she's given.
Well, it'll be an interesting game because she, as you said, is a wily veteran. When you take a look at the two teams, is there any one position where a matchup could be key?
Well, Lynn Githmark is the new junior member to Nordby's team, and she has played very well all week. 10 percentage points higher than Kathy Overton-Clapham throughout the week. Now, I expect a better performance out of Kathy today, but Lynn Githmark will be the setup person for Nordby, so we're going to be watching that position.
In round-robin competition, Canada had to go to an extra end to eke out an 11-10 victory over Norway. So today in the 3-4 game, it's Canada against Norway at the 2005 Ford World Women's Curling Championship in Paisley, Scotland. We'll be back with First Rocks after this.
The World Women's Curling Championships on CBC. Brought to you by Ford. Built for life in Canada. The World Women's Curling Championships on CBC. Brought to you by Karcher. You'll look for things to clean. By Scott Paper Limited and its family of quality paper products. And by Tim Hortons. Roll up the rim to win.
Welcome back to Paisley, Scotland, as the competing curlers are piped onto the ice here at the Lagoon Leisure Centre. It's Canada versus Norway in this 3-4 page playoff game, with the winner going to the semifinal against Annette Norberg of Sweden. Much has been made about ice conditions here at the Leisure Centre. Different conditions for each sheet here in the building, and one draw had to be postponed completely because of melting ice conditions on the two outside sheets. So that posed a natural question for Jennifer Jones about difficulties with ice.
It's been a little bit of a disappointment. The ice makers are doing the best with what they have to work with, but we've had frost issues. We've got runs in the ice. It's almost like you're playing a new event every time you step onto the sheet of ice. So we're hoping the ice will be good today, but you know, we've learned from the week and we'll hopefully manage it pretty well today.
Do ice conditions change your strategy at all?
They haven't, but we'll see what the ice is today. It's been a little tough to draw on, so it's, you know, you don't want to gamble where you have to draw against 5, because drawing to the 4 foot is really not something that you have in your back pocket. So we'll probably play a little bit more conservative today, but take our chances when we have last rock.
And obviously, Mike, that created some problems for Jennifer Jones, in that she likes to play the finesse game. She likes a lot of rocks in play.
Well, generally speaking, when the ice conditions aren't great, we recommend teams play as defensive as will allow, and that's just not in her strength. I mean, it's not her natural instinct to play defensively. So I think that hurt her earlier in the week. But she's managed, again, 8-3, not so bad when you look at how she's played. And but the statistics are going to tell you that she's going to need to play better if she wants to win this championship.
Well, we also posed the same question about ice conditions to the former two-time world champion Dordy Nordby.
It's a kind of a very different sheet we play on now. It's much more frost on it. So that it could be more difficult on speed. If you saw the semi-final Sweden-USA now, Annette Norberg is normally very safe on speed, but suddenly the last rock is a runner. So 1 or 4 or 5 feet too long or too short is very difficult to know. So it can be maybe a bit dangerous to go too offensive too. So I have to find out first the ice and the speed before I do a decision.
And Joan Doherty certainly didn't pull any punches. One word, bad, summed up her opinion of the ice.
And that's the way she is. So she is a very direct. I so enjoy her. She's a real character. And she will, she'll tell it like it is. And she did not like the ice conditions here. She did speak about changing her style of play. And she is a smart enough player. She's played in many, many world championships to know that she will change depending on what the opposition gives her. And I think Doherty said that she's going to try to go after this Canadian team and play a little bit more aggressively.
Well, Jennifer Jones will have advantage of last rock to start the game, and that was the result of a coin toss. Elaine Dagg-Jackson, who is the team leader, was involved in the coin toss yesterday. She called correctly, and as a result, Canada starts this 3-4 page playoff game with a hammer. How important is that, Mike?
Well, I think it's going to certainly help Jennifer Jones and her team. There's two ways to think about it. I mean, if Dordy Nordby without the hammer here can maybe dictate play early in the end, and if she throws in the rings, which she's indicated to come into the top 8 foot, Jennifer's natural instinct is to throw the corner guard, and we're going to see if, in fact, Jennifer might take a couple of ends, play a little bit more conservatively, and get a few more chances to get a feel for the ice. And we've noticed here during the week, particularly on the center sheet that we're on, one of the colder sheets, as later in the game, because of the temperature of the ice, frost builds up quite significantly in the late ends. And if you have a lead going into the 5th, 6th end, it's very difficult to come back.
Well, Canada was able to come back against Nordby in the round robin game after giving up a 5 on the 6th end. Canada fought back, got 3 points on the 10th, and then stole the winning point on the extra end.
Lots of line. 5.
Well, I think we had a little break here for Jennifer Jones in this fact that Doherty did throw a guard,
Heavy.
and the first one in will be Team Canada here in this first end.
No.
It's a really no decision to be made, Mike, as you were alluding to. Had Doherty Nordby put this rock into the house, a decision had to be made for Jennifer whether she should throw that corner guard or go after it. And throwing that corner guard and leaving those rocks in the forefoot became a problem for this Canadian team throughout the round robin.
Well, Kathy Gauthier had her draw slip behind cover, but it went in a little too deep to the back of the 8-foot. And now Camilla Hullet, who is the Norwegian lead, will attempt to follow the same path. They may have problems getting it past the guard. They're going to be on the guard.
We got a chance to really study frosty ice in the Brier for the first couple of days of the Brier in Edmonton this year before the ice makers really got the frost under control. So just to review some of the things that frosty conditions do to the ice, it's very, very hard to sweep rocks to where you want. Drag them 6-8 feet from the top of the house to the back of the house. So draw weight as often. You have to find that all on your own. You have no range of error with your sweepers. So you'll see people overthrow them because they're used to, if you throw them light, they're lost. You cannot drag them to the house.
Can they drag this one to the house?
They're just
Great line here.
sweeping for line.
Good shot. And just to go back to the ice conditions here.
Good call.
When the ice conditions were frosty in Edmonton, Hans Wuthert was fighting humidity ranges above 50% into the 60% range. 81% humidity in here yesterday, which is almost unmanageable. And full credit should be given to the ice makers here, Ian McCauley and Kirk Smythe. They've done a tremendous job with what they've been given with this building. And they've been struggling with it all week, and there's still quite a bit of movement. We saw almost 5 feet of curl there. And I said the main thing is that it takes the sweepers out of the game. That's what's really hurting Jennifer Jones and her finesse game, is taking the sweepers out. If we told Hans Wuthert 81%, he'd be running for home.
Well, Marion Haslam was attempting to come around her own stone down to the top of the rock delivered by
65, but top 12 is really good.
Kathy Gauthier. So this is an end that is shaping up to be a good start for Team Canada.
Well, there's no good angles up there for Norway right now, which is good for Jennifer Jones. But the stones are behind the tee line. So only going to take one good shot for Norway to get out of trouble.
7.
And that's what we heard Kathy Gauthier say. Like, it'd be great if you could get to the 4-foot, but top 12 is not a bad shot at this point in the game.
Whoa, no line. Whoa.
Sorry.
Whoa.
6. 6.
Whoa, yeah. Hard. Whoa,
Good shot here.
Great shot. Good weight.
Very nice. Get something in front of the tee line and block that freeze or that draw for Norway.
Well, the encouraging thing for Team Canada is that even though they were well down in statistics, during their last couple of games, their numbers came up. And they seem to show some significant improvement in their percentages in their last couple of games.
Well, and they said the nice thing, even though they're 7th in stats, they did win 8 games. And that's, shows that they're tough, battle hard, and they're able to win games when they're not playing their best. So you also hope that you're saving your best for the end of the week as a player. You know that you can certainly play much better than you have to. And that's what they'll be looking for.
And a lot of that inconsistency, Don, came from switching from sheet to sheet. The outside sheets were completely different than the inside sheets.
Marion Haslam attempting to open things up. Canada will still be lying 3. In round-robin competition, Norway suffered 4 losses. They were beaten by Canada, by Russia. That was in round-robin. They avenged that defeat in the tiebreaker. They also lost to Sweden and the United States.
No more.
Couple feet less smoker, but no more.
Jill Officer, the communications manager for the city of Brandon. The 1994 Canadian junior champion, playing for Jennifer Jones when they won the title in Truro, Nova Scotia.
3. Hey, Adam. Go, let it work.
It's a great start for Team Canada.
Yep.
3, 4, 3.
Get it here. 3. Get it here.
Norway still not out of trouble yet.
Hard, pass the yellow, pass the yellow, pass the yellow. Okay, well, that's good, that's good. Okay.
Okay, Joe.
I'm on an 87.
Yeah, I think 7's the key right now.
Three losses for Team Canada in round-robin play, to Scotland, to Sweden, and to the United States. In all 3 of those losses, they gave up 10 points.
Well, here's a good chance for Norway to get out of trouble. That stone at the back of the button, a freeze opportunity available.
And even, if,
Lynn Githmark.
and even if they can't get shot stone, just to come in to the top 8-foot, top 4-foot, set something up for Dordy Nordby and reduce the amount that Canada can get right now. They need to make this one and keep it in front of the tee line.
Are they by the guard? No, they get a rub. And that's one of the problems with this ice as far as sweeping is concerned. I think Kathy Gauthier on a very frosty sheet of ice early in the week said you almost needed shovels out there to find a path to the rink.
And she's talking about how much snow is generated when you're sweeping. And it's very hard to sweep. It's hard to make your broom move quickly because it'll stir up so much of the frost.
Good throw, Caddy.
Hard! Whoa! Hard!
Kathy Overton Clapham attempting to remove the stone that was just played by Githmark, getting a bit of an inside roll as well. It will roll over into the 12. It's wide open, but Canada now lies 4.
Well, they were hoping to nose hit that or only roll about 6 inches and take away this freeze. Second chance here for Lynn Githmark. They just missed the sweeping on their first one. They had good weight. With the amount of swing, you don't have to get by the guard too tightly. You can miss the guard by a good foot here and still make a pretty decent freeze.
Githmark is the youngest member of this Norwegian team at 23.
Finretning. Yep. Kjemperetning. Yep. 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 Forward.
There's hardly any rotation on her stones, and that's why you'll see them finish. They'll curl very hard at the end.
It's all about weight now. Second shot.
Ligger han på det? Are they short or are we, Kat? Do we need to be down to it? I'm just... Okay. Are we playing down to it? Just want to make sure.
We're shot, eh? We're lying 1.
Up 4. Okay.
Kathy Overton Clapham just wanting confirmation as to which stone was shot. She would like to come down on top of the yellow stone.
Actually, the first call is to go top 4. If they come down to that one placed in there by Norway, Norway will freeze on top of them as well.
No line! Bite the 4. Line's good. Gotta be here. Bite 4. It's good. Wait only.
Go.
Yep. Hard. Go. Hard.
Big movement at the end as the stone comes down almost on top of the shot rock in the button.
Overswept. They needed to keep that one 2 feet shorter. Still allows a nice little tap back here for Dordy Nordby.
It's okay. You're calling weight?
Well, they said 5. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
So I thought it's bearing. Get it right on top of it. Okay.
on that?
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's a little bit too deep. Bad communication.
Foot too deep. You were saying low, though, so.
Just overswept. You heard Jennifer Jones talking. Doherty would like to follow this stone down and just tap it back about a foot or so. Would be great. Come down, nudge the red stone back, move it and stay frozen. They could actually get shot stone here and put Canada in a lot of trouble. Just get a little bit of an inside roll. But certainly hold them to one with a good shot.
And this is one of Doherty Nordby's strengths. If there is a weakness, it may be the takeout game.
And that's why she doesn't leave that for herself.
Has she got enough to get there?
Great line.
It's going to come up short.
Not bad. This will force a guard out of Jennifer Jones, I think. Not many options available.
It's hard though, because no, it's not. It's not there. The red's in her way. She's only going to get.
Just love to get underneath
right?
this double raise.
She can't. She has to hit that across the almost nose, right?
Yeah, just for the guard.
Where do you want to go?
Just a guard right here.
So Jennifer Jones has decided on leaving her that double raise, or that she'll just block off the tap and come short of the rings.
Like tight, like three?
Yeah.
Guard?
We don't want to help her out by throwing it too tight.
Yeah, 4.2, 4.5. It's pretty quick here
So
now.
for a guard, I could throw an 85.
Yeah, like 85.
But again, one of the keys is for the brushers to be
Go, Jen.
very alert.
No, I think it's 4.
Well, I think the first 5 ends, it's not too bad, the frost. But once you get in, certainly into the second half of the game, as the frost continues to build, we'll see it become more and more apparent. But you heard the split, 385. That's fairly reasonable speed, considering the amount of frost that's out there. So again, the ice makers have done a good job maintaining speed. It just late in the games, it's so hard to sweep on.
2, 3. Hard! Can you get it where my broom is? Just where my broom is. Hard! Past the yellow. Hard! Come on, hard! Get it past the yellow. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
Good.
Very nice shot.
They got it just past the yellow, and now that poses a real problem for
Good, Jen.
Doherty Nordby.
82.
I yanked it a bit. Pull back a bit.
All right.
Had a girl, Jen. Nice one.
Well, we've seen Jennifer Jones play before. She likes to play with a lot of rocks in play, and she certainly has them in this opening end.
Well, right now, Doherty Nordby has to figure out what the easiest way for Jennifer Jones to score another point is. And she's just going to throw the guard and take away that little tap back on that stone that's top of the 8-foot. There's not any really good paths here for Jennifer Jones. The wide in turn is available as well, but it's a very tight, very, very tight scoring area. I think considering the way this end started, 2 wouldn't be so bad here for Norway. They're looking at 4 or 5 there early.
Hva hadde dere på tid på den? 70, greit. Jeg må nok kanskje litt løsere.
So now Nordby is going to the outturn side for this draw attempt.
Det er innmari vi med.
Hvor er det? 2 er bra. 2 er bra.
Forsiktig.
2 er bra. 2 er veldig bra.
Guard.
2 er bra.
Just looking to guard the path
Nei, den brekker.
to make Jennifer Jones's attempt for 3 very, very difficult.
All right.
Well, she comes up well short, so now there is the potential of an outturn draw for 3 for Jennifer Jones.
Well,
Is there a possibility of even more?
Kathy Gauthier is looking at the raise right now to see if the raise might be easier than the straight draw.
Nei, den gjorde ikke det. Den ligger nede i gul.
Ja, for den er nesten, selv om de ser helt på trynet.
They could also tap up that red stone.
I don't know which one's easier. They're both about the same.
Yeah.
The red's out a little bit more there.
Yeah. This one we've just seen more times go to the 4-foot, I think.
The end?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like either. Yeah, you want more than that's good, Jen.
Very,
What
very
about,
tight scoring area.
like 2 inches?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where is there more room? Is there more room on this side or coming by here? And that's the decisions
We
made
can't
the
hurt
intern.
ourselves, Kathy, if that's what you're asking her. No.
So it's a very difficult draw because you've only got a couple of
Here,
inches
further out,
to
eh?
come to
No,
get
just looking
past
at whether the outturn
the
is
red stone or the yellow stone that's third shot and hang on to the tee line for your third shot. So it's a very tough draw.
Okay, so 4 foot.
Great start, nonetheless. A nice no pressure draw. Got 2 in the bank. And if you make it perfect, you get 3.
Yeah.
Yes. So a 6.
6'5"? 65 would be great.
Right on the tee.
Final stone of end number 1. Jennifer Jones attempting to draw for 3. She already has 2 stones sitting there on the button. She has to get full 4 foot with this final stone to beat out the Norwegian rock.
Oh, whoa, just T-line. Yeah,
Line only.
yes, T-line.
Now it has to curl big time. And she's got too much weight, it would appear, and is going to slide just a little too far. So it will be a deuce on the opening end for Canada's Jennifer Jones. A good start for Canada against Norway in this 3 versus 4 Page playoff game. The winner will advance against Sweden. The Lagoon Leisure Center in Paisley, the venue for this 2005 Ford Women's World Championship.
18.
A swimming pool is attached to the curling rink, and as a result there's a fair bit of humidity inside this building that the ice makers have to deal with regardless of what outside weather conditions are.
Well, as you mentioned, on Sunday morning, sheets A and D were swimming pools too. They were underwater. The difficulty for the ice makers here is that the thickness of the ice varies so much. On the sheet we're on, the ice is about 1.5 inches thick. On sheet D, which you see to Kathy Gauthier's right there on the right side of the screen, is about 5.5 inches thick on about 4 or 5 inches of sand. So it acts as an insulator. The temperature on the outside of the sheet is 29 degrees on the sheet D. The left side of the sheet is 24 degrees, and on our sheet it's 16 degrees. Ideal ice temperatures between 22 and 24 degrees, and when ice makers try to raise the center temperature a little bit, if you do the math, there's a 13-degree variance from the center of our sheet to the outside of sheet D, and it just got too warm on the outside sheets, and they got caught. But talk about difficult working environment for an ice maker. 13 degrees variance from one sheet to the next, and 5 degrees on one sheet from left side of right to right side. Just unbelievable.
And they also turned off the dehumidifiers. Here's a stone that has been hogged by Mila Holoth.
That picked something up.
But the dehumidifiers that would normally be operating inside the building were turned off yesterday after one of them burned out. There are 4.
Yeah, one of the 4. So during the week when the dehumidifiers were on, we're at about 65%, which was the trouble number in Edmonton. And now that these dehumidifiers are off, combine this with the cold ice temperatures, it's just not, it's a recipe for disaster for an ice maker. And as I said, they've done very well actually to be able to maintain the speed through the game. I said the hard thing, again, it just takes the sweepers out of the game late in the game.
6. Yeah, 6. Ooh, above the tee. Yep, above the tee though. Yep. Yeah. Go. Shot count.
Yeah, the floor in the Leisure Center heaved about a year ago.
Difference between the 5 and 6.
That's been the problem.
You know, there are some concerns whether Kathy Gauthier would even be able to participate in this World Championship after winning the Canadian Scott in St. John's. On her flight from St. John's to Toronto, she suffered a punctured eardrum, had to take the train from Toronto back to Winnipeg, and she required the assistance of Dr. Mark Barker, who made a special trip in from the lake to attend to her problems, and he was able to correct things so that she was able to fly to Scotland for the Worlds.
It's a long train ride to Scotland.
But even though he did do a little bit of work when the eardrum had repaired itself, it was still causing some problems and had to be recut to get over here, over to Scotland to relieve the pressure in the inner ear. And Kathy was just talking about how much pain she was in the first 3 or 4 days that she was here in Scotland. And to compound their problems, Team Canada, their broom bag was lost on the way over to Scotland, was somehow misplaced in the handling. When the broom bag appeared a day later, all of their brooms were smashed So a very frantic phone call was made to Asham Curling Supplies, who got new replacement rooms over here to Team Canada as quickly as possible, and they were able to play. So a little bit of stress for Team Canada starting off the World Championships here in Paisley.
How's your week going so far?
And of course, Arnold Asham responded with the shipment of new brooms. He, as some will recall, was the coach of the Manitoba team at the Brier. Randy Dutain and his squad that finished in second place in the standings, lost out in the Page playoff game.
Well, it's a very comfortable end here for Jennifer Jones with a 2-point lead again. No guards in play with that hog rock.
Good.
Start the end.
Just hard, clean. Good. 9:30.
We were talking about how difficult it is to play finesse here on these ice conditions because of the frost. Even open takeouts were a bit of a difficulty earlier in the week for all the teams as well, because depending on how much frost there were and what sheet they were playing, it really affected how much curl there was in each one of these takeouts. So all the percentages were down. I don't know the last time that I saw a cumulative stats where the top lead was at 78% for the week. That kind of tells you the story. All those numbers are way down for every curler here.
Well, 8-3 was the record for Jennifer Jones and her team, and when I had the opportunity to talk with her, I asked if the experience of wearing the maple leaf was everything she thought it would be.
It's been just a thrill of a lifetime to put the maple leaf on your back is something that you've dreamed of, or that I have dreamed since I was a little kid, and it's just really, you can't put it into words how much it means to you, and we're just so thrilled to be here.
Good judge, guys.
And of course, she would like to wear the maple leaf again at a more important event as far as curling competition is concerned. You both had that experience in Nagano in 1998. The Olympic Games.
I'm sure Joan would like to see her not wear the maple leaf.
I think I'm one of them.
Spot.
I'm one of them teams that's going to try to stop her from wearing that maple leaf again. She'll be one of the 10 teams at the Olympic trials to be held in Halifax in December, and what a absolutely wonderful event that will be. As you said, Dawn, the biggest prize in curling will be up for grabs at those Olympic trials, and that is a right to represent Canada at the Olympics in Italy in 2006.
Clean. Whoa, no.
9.5 plus.
No. Hard, clean. No. No. Falling. Off.
Okay, Caddy.
Ideally, they wanted to save Kathy Overton Clapham's shooter, but it rolls out of play.
Jen timed it, so I'll ask her. Thought I threw it well.
Do that well. It just fell.
You see the ice that Doherty Nordby is giving to Githmark for this attempted freeze down to her own stone side, the 12-foot.
That's the other difference between international play. You see how wide the rings are. There's more room on the outside of the sheet than we see in Canadian curling. So that rock is outside of the 12-foot and on the tee line and still in play, which is something that we don't see in Canada.
I believe I said to her own stone. I meant the coming down, trying to freeze to the Canadian stone outside the 12-foot.
A little bit of a roll if we can.
Nose would be great.
Well, we mentioned the Olympic trials at the Halifax Metro Center.
I don't know where it
In
went.
addition to Jennifer Jones and Jan Betker, Colleen Jones, Kelly Scott, Sherry Madoff, Sherry Anderson, Marie-France LaRouche, Shannon Kleibrink, Joanne Rizzo, and Stephanie Lawton.
9.
That's just a great women's field. That is phenomenal.
Good throw.
And the winner will go on to represent
It's the same
Canada
everywhere, no frost yet.
at the Olympic Games in Turin, Italy, beginning on the 10th of February.
9.
Yep. Hard.
This rock is beginning to curl. They're trying to keep it on line.
Hard.
And it just rolls out of play.
Good, Jen.
Sorry, guys.
That's good, Jen.
We heard the sweepers talking to Jennifer Jones in the hack saying there's
Again,
no
9 to
frost
5.
yet. And so that determines how much ice you'll take outside of the 12-foot. When there's a lot of frost, the rocks will run straighter, so you can take your normal amount of ice, and then as the game goes on, tighten up the ice you will take for takeouts.
Nordby first appeared on the international stage in 1982. That was the same year that Colleen Jones first appeared at the Scott and won it as a skip, and then went on to the World Championships for the first 2 years, 1982 and 1989. Doherty was playing third for Trini Trulson. Then she began as a skip in 1990. She won it. In 1991, she repeated. And with the exception of 1994, she's been back every year since. Just off the rings. I talked about the 2 wins by Doherty Nordby. On 2 other occasions, she was runner-up in 1997 to Sandra Schmerler and in 2004 in Goblet. Colleen Jones won last year, of course.
Just anywhere really in front. She kind of pointed hers, but...
Okay,
Give me just a shade less, like an inch inside the line. Look at that. Yeah.
Same here as all other paths.
Okay, hers really died at the end, so just stay with it. And there was frost in the house. So.
Okay.
And again, the reference to frost
70?
beginning to build up in the house, in the rings.
We're going to hear that all game. But, you know, look at the amount of ice taken. 6 feet of ice for this freeze. Tremendous amount of movement.
71.
Line.
Line's great.
Line.
Coach and office are really working on this attempted freeze by Jennifer Jones.
Guys, go. Go. Line's good. Go. Hard. Faster. Go. Hurry. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, great brushing there. Not bad.
Good. 14 and a half. Is she taking or one that ice?
She's going to cut the ice.
With that ice? She points everything.
They're talking about the way Norway throws, and this is again something that experienced teams at the international level will notice about European teams, and in particular this Norway team, and that is they throw very little rotation on their rocks, and they tend to point the rock towards the target. Therefore, their rocks will curl more than the Canadian stones will. Trying to blank here.
Trying to come across the face of the Canadian stone to drive it out of the rings. She gets just enough of it to remove it. So with last rock on N2, Doherty Nordby is successful in blanking and will retain last rock advantage into the third, trailing by 2 points.
75 kind of thing.
The coastline of Scotland, and not far from Paisley, along the coast, some of the world's most famous golf courses, St. Andrews and Troon. Troon, which of course was the host venue for the Open. They don't refer to it as the British Open. Over here, it's simply the Open. And that was the venue for the Open last year. Links courses are always very interesting, usually 9 holes out along the coast and 9 holes back in, and always prevailing winds causing problems.
Well, great start for Canada here. That 2 points in the first end, I think, really will relax the nerves. And I have to say, in talking with Jennifer Jones before the game and watching her, she looked very, very nervous before this game.
Good judge, ladies.
You can just see her relax as they get more rocks down the sheet. And her team is playing well, and the ice is more predictable.
And here comes a move from Nordby Nordby. We saw an attempted guard last and pick up something and stop short of the hog line. So this is a second opportunity here for Camilla Holt.
Again, this delivery by Camilla Holt is going to require some additional work as Dordy Nordby herself comes out to assist in the brushing, and they get it across the hog line by about 3 or 4 feet.
Real tight. I don't even mind. By 12 is not bad, but make sure you're tight.
Same weight's not going to hurt, Kat.
No.
We swept it most of the
Yeah,
way.
you did.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't throw a lot less, that's for sure.
You heard Jennifer Jones say biting the top of the 12 wouldn't be bad.
Gotta be tight. 3. Line's good. Gotta be tight. 2. 3. Real tight. Real tight.
Girl.
Real tight. Line's perfect. Real tight.
Girl.
Keep it going.
We're almost to 4.
A little more, guys. A little more, a little more, a little more, a little more. Good sweeps.
Very well swept.
Okay.
The ideal position for that rock is as close to the rings as possible, completely guarding the shot stone. So that was just a foot or so short. They would have liked to curl a little bit more, not allowing Norway to make a play on that stone or get a roll to her own corner guard.
6 and up. Kom igen! Hardt! Si! Hardt! Kom igen! Kjempredning! Hardt! 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 Kom igen! Kom igen! Kom igen! Kom igen! Kom igen! Kom igen!
Just a little light on this one.
Sam!
If you're looking for a hit and roll there, as you mentioned, on back line hit and roll. Turned out pretty well, though.
Yeah, great plan B.
Yeah.
Yeah, or even in front of that. Okay,
Well,
Julie.
they-
Same as it's been. Yeah.
Okay, Jill.
Like big. I throw it like?
But she also got an 81. I got an 81.
Okay. But when it comes off, Jill, it just starts to lose a ton of weight. We'll get smarter.
Jeg tror vi tar den litt, ja. Prøver å dra med oss den. Bare spill vanlig.
It's a good comment by Kathy Gauthier. Just we'll get smarter, we'll learn how things are going out here and try to adapt. That's the challenge, the ongoing challenge on tough ice.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Marion Haslam will remove the Canadian stone. She's been a long-time competitor with Dordy Nordby. As a matter of fact, she was with Dordy in 1997 when you played her at the World Championships.
Yes, she has been with Dordy for a few years. She's a very good player, and as I said, Dordy is one of those teams that you cannot let up on. And when we played Dordy in that 97 World Final, we got a 5 in the 5th end, and it looked like the game was going to be over. And Dordy just kept chipping away, freezing to absolutely everything we put into play, and came back in that game, made a real game of it.
Clean. Whoa. Can't go. You can't go. No.
Curl,
Get
curl,
high.
curl.
Whoa. Good one, Jill. Very nice.
Girl.
Final score in that one was 8-4. 8-4 was also the final score last year in Nordby's loss to Colleen Jones and Gottlieb.
Vi kan enten den nedpå der, eller så kan vi ta den over dit og få flyttet den litt dit. Ja, det gjør vi det. Litt på siden her.
Double peel attempt.
Ja, det kommer alle veier her.
Is it even going to make contact with the red stone? It'll just touch it. and slide it into the rings for shot rock. One red is removed, however, but that did open up the front.
Probably. No?
Interesting decision now
I
for
like the corner big time.
Jennifer
Kat.
Jones.
What do you like? Or a corner the yellow. Corner the yellow does absolutely nothing unless you move that.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
They're frozen.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Then it'd have to be a guard if they're going to corner it.
I don't mind here.
Okay.
Okay.
Same way I've been
Do
throwing.
it. If you nudge off, that's not terrible.
Okay.
What you've been throwing?
Same I've been throwing.
Yeah, it's okay.
Right
Ice.
to-
Yellowstone's in a
Just
great
in front of the
position
house.
right now for Norway, and
Sorry.
really tough to deal with.
A big shot here for Kathy Overton Clapton.
Wait on me. Gotta be here.
Goche and officer jumped on it immediately.
Hard line. Hard line. 3. Hard. 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 Keep going. Go, 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 go.
Hard.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. It's not bad.
What'd you get? 75. Hey, Kathy.
Great brushing. Light.
A lot less.
Sorry, I kicked out light.
Hva med 15? 15 eller 13 eller?
Love to roll buried,
Spill vanlig, du.
possibly kill both these red stones, depending on the weight she throws, but certainly lie 2 undercover.
Even
Maybe
just
leave one of the Canadian ones around.
even just to kick that red stone out just a little bit outside of the 4-foot would be a great shot.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Love to save her shooter.
Whoa!
Got big weight though.
And she'll move both red stones, but only one will go out of the rings. Shot rock belongs to Norway.
So the good news for Jennifer Jones and her team is that shooter did roll out of play, and she's got a fairly simple run back here to lie 3 again. Shooter. If that shooter stays over here behind this corner guard, would have been a little bit more trouble for Jennifer Jones. Simple 2-foot run back, not tough at all.
Clean! No, no, no! Clean it! Off! Yeah! Whoa,
Trying to run her own red back onto the shot stone belonging to Norway.
Very nice.
Good shot by Overton Clapton to lie 3.
Spreading out all the rocks, that there is still a corner guard in play and a rock behind the tee line for Jordy Nordby to
That's
freeze
okay.
to. So
Come
still
up a little bit
opportunity for her to
thought it-
generate her 2 points.
There's the corner guard. Just saw a glimpse of it there.
Kjemperetning. Ja!
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 Hvor lang er den?
Bare fart, bare fart! Bare fart! Nei.
Kjemperetning. Kan
Nice line
gjerne
here.
ta
It's
han.
going to bury.
Ja!
Kjemperetning, kom igjen!
Ja!
Kom igjen, kom igjen, Marianne. Bra.
Dead buried.
It's a lovely shot.
Den bremsa var. Bra skippa.
Den var kul.
Nice thing for Jennifer Jones is that didn't get far, came by this guard by a good 6-8 inches and still was able to bury it. So you're going to look for her to come down.
Corner freeze it, but if we've got
Tap-
enough weight to
tap
move
it a little
foot,
bit.
it's pretty good. So.
Okay.
You heard it there.
65 or
For T line. 65
Kinda
for T
weight,
line.
Jen.
Yeah. 65 for T line.
Well, we just want to. We're playing the corner freeze, but if we've got good line, we can move it a foot. We're sitting 2. So.
All right. 65-27 for T line.
Okay.
Is
I'd
T
say
line
7 here, yeah.
Former Canadian junior champ, the reigning Canadian women's champion, Jennifer Jones, trying to move to the semifinal in the Women's World Championship. They'll have to brush this to get it past the long guard.
Hard, keep going, keep going.
They're by.
Keep going, go, go.
Now she got enough weight to move this stone back. I don't think so.
It's over curling as well.
Good brushing.
Sorry, guys. What'd you get?
73. 65 I had. slide over.
Shoot.
Ja, men da kan hun bare fryse opp. Ja. Så, men jeg må hele.
And the problem with that rock over curling as well, it wasn't so bad that the weight was light,
Der har
but
det ikke gått noen sted.
because it curled all the way past
prøver
that
der.
corner guard, it won't be able to be used by Canada.
Good chance here for Norway. Split the ring, slide 2. Simply draw open to the tee line.
Må legge full hvit her. Ja.
Just want to get to the tee
Det er
line,
bedre å gå i
so there's no
bakkant
double
enn å stå
available
for foran.
to Jennifer Jones.
Men
Anything
det
stopping
lurer
up
på.
top 12, you may see
Der
him
har det
roll
ikke
attempt.
gått noen stein. Men
It's the first time in this game that Norway has had Canada chase them.
ja, så får du liksom
Just
bare
make
holde
one
det
good
igjen.
shot, and
Gjør det.
here she goes. They'd be able to get another one in there that Canada will have
Jeg
to
hadde
deal
en
with to
dragning
prevent
der.
more than 2
Men det
being
var ikke
scored by
det.
Norway.
Å ja. Så jeg må ha godt løser, altså.
I don't think we'll see anything fancy from Jennifer Jones. This gets in for second shot. She pretty much has to hit it. See the deuce.
Kom igjen,
Hope
på
for a
retning.
miss.
Ja, på retning. Kom igjen. Kom igjen. På retning.
Fin retning!
Kjemperetning, ja!
Has she got enough weight?
Kjemperedning! Kom igjen!
Kom igjen. Ja, det er bra. Bra, Kosta.
It's over curled, and it's light.
Bra, det.
Var den?
Superlint.
Hva sa du nå?
Well, Jennifer Jones
Hva sa du?
will attempt to play basically the same shot she tried with her last stone.
Very tough shot, though. She's trying to corner freeze. Now, instead of that guard that we see up high, she has to go around her own stone that she just
Probably
threw
feel close to the
to
same,
get
I would think.
I think so,
corner
yeah. You
frozen.
got a little more ice, Jen, or?
Yeah.
Tricky
Because I
little
think
freeze.
that it kind of just, I know like I was light, but it died at the end. I almost think I could throw about the same count. What do you think? I'm
I
out?
think you need a little more. It's just not sliding.
She's got a little more ice
Ice.
that way, though.
Yep.
I split a 73.
Let's go, Jen.
Shade more, Kath. No, a little bit less. Oh.
The final stone of this third end for Jennifer Jones. Norway lies 1.
Good.
Better throw.
Yes.
Where's the weight?
7-6. Yep. Hard line. Line only. Hard line.
Where are we?
Hard. Hard.
Hard line!
She's on the red.
6-5.
Again, she's going to come up light.
No, it's not. It looked like a better throw. It's same split almost. 76. I
What'd you
have
get?
64 on that
76
one.
is quite a bit more
Or
on
the
that.
same split. Yeah.
Do it
I
better.
had one. I got 76, 77. It just looked like you threw.
I threw it crisper, yeah.
Du rundt omkring hvor det er litt sånn glatt når jeg klatrer.
Height again.
For nå spiller jeg samme veien som alle stein i denne
So a
omgangen.
chunk of the 8-foot with the final stone of this third end for Nordby to tie the game at 2.
As the game goes on, this draw towards the middle will change. The weight will be different, but now that it's still early in the game, should be about the same path weight as what she just threw. So she knows that she needs more weight. She came up short on her last one.
Kom igjen. Fin retning. Kom igjen, det er kjemperetning. Kom
This
igjen,
is
da.
curling.
She does have backing.
Ja. Kom igjen. Ja. Kom igjen, da. Hard. Å, det er så bra, Kosta.
She's got a fine draw. So she gets full 8-foot to pick up a pair, and through 3 ends of play, Canada and Norway are deadlocked at 2.
We got the rock.
Canada with last rock in the opening end was able to score a deuce. The second end blanked by Nordby, and with last rock in the third. The former 2-time world champion came back with the deuce of her own, and we're tied at 2 as we get set to play the fourth end. Camilla Holoth, a former world junior competitor in 98 99, playing in her 4th women's world championship.
Kjemperetning.
Bra, Camilla. Ja, innvarende.
Wait only. Tight, guys. We're not tight.
The call for a corner guard from Kathy Goche.
It's just over. Come on. Go, go, go.
I got a 90.
Yeah, we have 94. Bakkant gjennom.
The coach of this Norwegian team is Soren Gran, who won a World Junior Championship for Sweden back in 1982. Both is attempting to, was attempting to draw behind the corner guard, and she is too heavy, slides right through.
That's not a very good shot. She was struggling with draw weight earlier in the game, underthrowing everything coming up light. But Nordby could sure use another guard in that situation. If anything, if she was to err on that shot, should have been on being lighter, short of the rings, rather than throwing that rock through.
Hard!
Go, 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 go!
Hard! Hard, hard. Whoa! Whoa. Okay.
Goche with a nose hit to remove the Norwegian stone. Canada lies one.
Not the best throw of the Bonspiel.
No, that's okay.
Marion Haslam, the 31-year-old second, was born in Lillehammer, and that was the site of the 1994 Winter Olympic Games. 4 years later, curling became an official Winter Olympic sport.
Well, that's a break for Team Canada. Free opportunity to use this corner guard.
65?
65.
2 straight misses from Norway here in the fourth
Oh, I
end.
definitely threw it
Yeah,
lighter.
I know that. Okay.
In the background, you see time clocks. That was also a rather sensitive issue with the curlers when competition began. They did not have time clocks. As a matter of fact, in the Canada-Russia game, because it was determined by an official that the Russians had taken too long to put a rock in play, they had a final stone pulled, and it resulted in Canada scoring 4 en route to a 9-8 victory.
Okay, well, you can walk.
Let it work.
And what happens in this situation, whether you have time clocks or not, the officials warned the Russian team that they had 30 seconds to put the rock into play, and in that particular instance it was their third warning on that shot that they had to put the rock into play before they did take it off. So even with time clocks, if you were taking more than 2 or 3 minutes to call a shot, the officials have the right to come and warn you that you must put the rock into play within 30 seconds or it will be removed.
And again, in fairness to Team Canada, they were likely to score 4 anyway. It was Russians had very little option on that particular stone, and Jennifer Jones was joking. She was hoping that they would throw, maybe give up 5, but look at that, just by the guard. Well done.
Well, Marion Haslam made a good shot on the last end, and she's come up with another good shot on this fourth end.
They were talking about, as I said, takeouts were as much an adventure as draw weight was. Because like most arenas, if you up your weight, those rocks tend to run straight. But if you try to baby it and be too careful and have a very soft release on this kind of frosty ice, the rocks would curl a ton as well, and they'd miss their target as well. So very unforgiving. You had to throw them straight up.
Rachel.
And the Canadian women's team, in all fairness to this Jennifer Jones squad, they're accustomed to playing on very good ice at the provincial playdowns and at the national championship.
Well, I think certainly teams like Annette Norberg and Doherty in particular have a bit of an advantage, having played in so many world championships under so many different conditions. And teams, other than Colleen Jones, who seems to show up with the Scott every year and has earned her way back year after year. Generally speaking, Canadian teams don't have that consistent appearance on arena ice like Norway does, or in this case Annette Norberg from Sweden, and certainly has played to their advantage, I think, this week, their experience. A lot of room by the guard. Good 6-8 inches by the guard.
Completely different than yours still.
It's fine, Kath. Good.
Yeah, you talked about all the appearances by Dordy Nordby and her experience. 18 times she's been to the World Championships. Over 100 wins as a skip.
Kjempefin redning. Gjerne køle litt. Kjemperedning. Ja! Kjemperedning. Kjemperedning. Kom igjen! Kjemperedning. Køle!
Very similar line here to Team Canada style. It's all about weight. Nice freeze.
Well done. This young shot maker, Lynn Githmark, I think really rejuvenated Dordy Nordby, who, like you said, has been coming back to World Championships and had seemed to be starting to fade a little bit. Her performances weren't as good as other years, and Lynn joined the team last year and completely turned things around. And as you mentioned, Don, they lost the final to Canadian Colleen Jones, but what a great showing for Norway last year.
Kathy Overton-Clapton trying to follow the same path, trying to come down on top of this Norwegian rock. Will it curl too much?
Tighter
It
line.
comes up light.
Yeah. Yeah, a little tighter.
Light and over curling, a bad combination. Because yes, as Kathy said, without being shot stone, advantage goes right back to Norway to put some pressure on Canada.
Gave you a shade bar.
Så heller for mye enn for lite, liksom.
I think Dordy considers it a rite of spring to appear at a World Championship.
Well, you know, she talks about she enjoys it so much. There's nothing that intimidates Dordy Nordby. With all the experience that she's had, there isn't a situation that would frighten her or that she wouldn't enjoy. She loves competition. And like I said, she looks at these World Championships. She believes she can win it every year, and she's a real character. Really, one of the people in world curling that you remember her name, that you played Dordy Nordby. You know you've been somewhere.
And the nice thing for Dordy is that in Norway they actually appoint their teams, and Dordy has just been appointed the rep. And as a matter of fact, Lynn Githmark won the Norwegian Championships 3 consecutive years over Dordy Nordby, yet Dordy was still selected to represent the country at the World Championship because of her experience. So I guess Lynn decided I'd like to play with her then. That would be
exactly.
If you're not going to let me beat her, let me play with her then. That'd be fine.
Ja. Hva? Ja. Bare bart. Ja!
Dordy's trying to cut off the freeze here available to Jennifer Jones. This stone as well is over curling. The freeze is still open.
And this much curl at a World Championships is unusual. We often used to say when we played the European teams that they learned to tip their rocks towards the target because they were used to playing on very, very straight ice conditions, which is usual for European rinks and arenas and championships. And so this is very unusual. This would be hard for Dordy to be accustomed to, is the amount of curl in the ice.
Well, we heard Jennifer Jones make a comment earlier in this game about the tendency by Norway to tip their shots, particularly Dordy Nordby.
Whoa! Whoa! Wait only! Line's good! Got a curl! Off! A lot.
Just didn't take the curl.
Yeah, nice weight, Jen. Lovely weight.
Yeah, I just didn't pick up that curl.
No.
Nice chance here for Norway to
weight.
lie two.
Yeah.
Smidgen.
Marianne spilte her. Hun
Never
spilte
caught the curl.
Looking for a
og
hit.
så var den litt hardere, og den
Come
kom
to the low
altså.
side.
Der.
Shoot a roll over. Perhaps stay two, half buried. Force a draw to the forefoot.
Prøv å få litt rull inn.
You see the broom inside of the center line. This is where the big curl is. Jennifer Jones' draw didn't catch the big swoop. All of them starting to curl once they get about a rock off of the center line.
Not a lot of air there, but certainly is enough to get inside. A nose hit may leave a double for a couple of points here for Jennifer Jones.
This is Nordby's final stone of this fourth end.
Little full, little wide of the broom.
Kommer nå. Whoa. Big.
Here it comes.
Bra, Nordby. Ta den litt. Bra.
She removes it cleanly to lie two.
There's a double up opportunity here, maybe even for three, but certainly for deuce here for Jennifer Jones.
Ja. For Marianne sin kom så masse.
Tough double, but certainly there.
Just off nose, eh?
Yeah. 9.5. Yeah, because I don't think it's going to swoop much.
9 to 9.5.
Okay. That's okay. I didn't know what you said.
Double chance.
Stay with it and roll a bit your way.
Hit a little on the broom side.
9 to 9.5.
All right.
Drive this back. Chip this one over. May be able to save her one at the back gate, but might even be able to get three if she hits it perfect. But certainly deuce is very, very available.
Big shot here for Jennifer Jones, the final stone of the fourth end.
Good.
Coach and officer jumped on it immediately.
Nice try. Try, Jen.
She drives it through, but does have shot rock.
Yes. Uno redo. Yes. 2. 1 red. I'm all over that one. Don't push it.
Kathy Gauthier joking, saying two, realizing that it was only one. But Canada leads 3-2. The magnificent Paisley Abbey, founded in 1163, dominates the riverside as it has for centuries, and it's only a short distance from the Lagoon Leisure Center. A reminder that later today, CBC's curling coverage continues with the semifinal of the Ford World Women's Championship from here in Paisley. That's at 2 Eastern on the main CBC television network. And Jennifer Jones and her Canadian teammates are hoping that they are involved in that semifinal game against Annette Norberg of Sweden. The Swedes, the dominant team in round-robin play, winning all 11 games. And they were beaten as Annette Norberg missed her final 2 draw attempts in the 10th end, losing to Cassie Johnson of the United States.
Go.
3.
2, 3.
Based on what we've seen from Cassie Johnson here in Paisley this week, this young American team already selected for the Olympic Games as the American representative. It could be a very definite gold medal threat in Torino, Italy.
And they're going to be around for quite a while too. They won the World Juniors only a couple of years ago and have looked very comfortable at their first World Championship. 10-1 in the round robin.
Really seem to catch on quickly to the ice conditions, keep their game plan quite simple, and executed very, very well this week.
Kommer han, eller? Kom igjen. Dra den litt bak her. Kom igjen.
One of those young, fearless teams like we saw at the Scott Turner Hearts. Very young and made a lot of good decisions throughout the week.
Yep.
Kathy Gauthier at times earlier this week struggled with her game, but she has a distinct advantage over Camilla Holt here through 4 ends in this 3 versus 4 page playoff game.
Okay. Is that less than 9.5? I could have yelled earlier, I suppose.
Great weight.
Thanks.
How much finish?
Nordby is asking for Holt to draw behind the guard just off the center line.
Fire! Fin retning! God plass! Lang og lett!
4. Må ta!
Fin retning! Kom igjen! Kom igjen! Ja, da dropper jeg.
Kind of way chilly. 9.5?
Yeah.
Good throw.
Tricky little hit and stay here for Jill Officer. Not a lot of room by the guard.
Yeah!
Little wobble there.
We're directly behind the sheet. Jill slid out very narrow of the broom. Tried to get it back to the broom, just not quite there.
Vi drar en frys.
There's a good chance there for Canada. Sometimes when you square up in the hack and you come out and you know
75 tror jeg det er.
you're not on the broom. She had a wobble. She had no chance to try to compensate and try to get her body over to where the broom was, and just was straight and narrow right out of her hand.
Kom igjen! Kom igjen! Kom igjen!
Marianne Haslam being asked to freeze to the shot stone.
Kom igjen!
This is going to be short.
Kom igjen!
Over curling badly
Kom igjen!
as well.
Kom igjen! Nedi. Bra jobba. Det er bra, det. Jeg må dro sidelengs, da.
Han begynner å trene litt, da.
9.5. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Jill Officer with an advantage at second stone over Marianne Haslam
Yeah!
of
Right
Norway.
to it! Hard! Hard!
She was a little tight on that one as well.
Okay. Crushing.
Another freeze attempt here.
Vi spiller
Norway.
75, så kan vi spille 60 om 70. 70.
We always talk about this. You never like giving your opponents the same shot twice. And good freeze here will make things very difficult on Team Canada and Jennifer Jones.
Ja! Den er bra. Ja! Bare fart! Bare fart! Fin retning! Hvor lang er den?
Bakhånd.
Helt nedpå!
Better line this time. Nice freeze.
Til 58.
Okay.
Don't mind this calf.
What's that?
What'd you find?
Little black thing.
Okay, good throw.
Curl that one. 9.5.
Yeah.
Yep. Hard. 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 Whoa. Whoa. Close. Yep. Hard. Roll it, Jill. Hard, Jill.
And a roll.
That's good.
Close to being really good.
Shouldn't have said whoa. Shouldn't have said
These
whoa.
are the comparative numbers between the
Got
two
the-
thirds.
Yeah, once you get up
Lynn
in the wing,
Githmark and
I should have stayed down. No, it's all right.
Kathy Overton
There's still
Clapham.
one.
Good throw. Yeah. One calf.
Pressure. Yeah.
That Stone's in a dangerous spot. Nice roll there from Kathy Overton
Vanlig.
Yeah.
Clapham to a position that Norway needs to deal with. love to hit and stay.
This is floating,
It's a
not
couple-
taking the curl.
Couple hits we've seen
Var det meg, eller?
overthrown from Lid Githmark.
Ikke sånn det gikk, sorry.
Firm here, 8.5.
Nå får jeg følt det var på
8.5.
That's what she said.
Don't know if I throw it that hard. 8.5.
And they're referring to the 8.5 as the time between the two hog lines. It's the way that they time
It's there.
their takeouts. So obviously, last time was 9.5. This one's going to be a second heavier, which is quite a bit actually.
9-ish!
Yep! Whoa! Hard! Hard! Whoa! Whoa!
Can she chip it out cleanly?
Great shot, Kath.
Good looking shot.
She
Great
does.
shot.
Hard!
Well, she expressed some reservations about being able to throw it that hard. She did a fine job of removing the Norwegian stone. Canada lies too.
I threw it okay?
You threw it well.
Ja, den er kul den også. Ok, vil du det?
A good look at it.
Au!
Not sure if I could throw it that hard.
Thin chip.
First one, as soon as we said, whoa, it's
Yeah.
doing that again now.
Yeah. Definitely again.
So Githmark trying to hide behind the rock on the top 12 foot.
Å, bare fart! Bare fart! Bare fart!
So even if she does get buried, that Canada will have a little short run back.
Oh, oh, oh!
Hard, Jen. Hard, hard. Hard, hard, hard,
Super
hard,
line,
hard,
but
hard,
behind
hard,
the tee
hard.
line. Pretty nice touch though. Put some pressure on Team Canada.
75?
And as you just saw, the high fives among members of the Norwegian team. All European teams, after every shot, good or bad, that seems to be part of their game plan. High fives and occasionally a low five.
I think so. Like, be
So
there
like a
2.5.
6?
That's what I'm thinking, yes.
6 is a 60 split.
Gotta bite the 4. Right to it, really.
Okay, Jen.
Right to it. So bite the 4.
Let's roll.
Two ends back. Jennifer Jones with a couple of attempted freezes. Came up light.
Lots of line.
6.
Bite the 4. Hard! Hard line!
Curling.
Walk you can!
6.
Hard line!
7.
Walk you can! Lots of room!
Got lots of room
Lots of
7.
room. To it then.
going past the guard. Now it's only a question of weight. Will it curl enough?
Pretty good shot.
Very nice.
There's room for a couple more stones in there though.
62.
Nice one.
Definitely not.
Huh?
Straightening up
Well,
a
the
bit,
two
eh?
skips have been struggling, 56% for both Nordby and Jennifer Jones through 4 ends of play. Some of the noise you hear is coming from the adjacent sheet where the men's senior
Sånn avstand mellom det.
gold medal game is taking place. Baz Buckle of
Yeah.
Canada against Bill Rhyme of the United States.
Så fikk jeg 23.
We can tell you that through 3 ends, Canada is leading by a score of 2-1. They only play 8 end games in the World Senior competition.
Yeah, Baz Buckles here from Corner Brook, Newfoundland, and Ann Dunn, of course, was representing the women. And they won the right to represent Canada last year at the World Championship, and because the Senior Championship was played later this year, they were able to come to their second World Championship. Ann Dunn lost the bronze medal game earlier today.
Kom hele veien! Kjemperetning, ja! Hardt da! Ja! Kjemperetning! Kom igjen! Hardt! Hardt! Hardt!
Can they keep this online, or is it going to curl too much? It's going to come on top of the red, and it's going to be light as well.
Well short and over curl.
So a great chance here for Canada's Jennifer Jones to steal on end number 5.
There is. Decision to be made. Do you want to go in and force the issue? That's the call. I like the call. Very aggressive.
Right.
But she's just played this draw as well. She have a great feel for the line as well as draw weight. So why not take it to them,
Kind of a line
get another
shot,
rock
though, but
right into the
If you
4
put
foot.
it like full 4 right
I
in front of
agree.
it, that's absolutely perfect.
You throw a guard
Yeah,
Norway's
sounds
forced
good.
the outturn draw anyway.
because it's just behind the tee line. So.
Oh, yeah. Are you further out here?
So
at all, or-
anywhere
No,
in
taking
here.
the exact same
Just don't want it behind the tee line, and that will force outturn draw
Throw there, Jen.
for Norway to score. Make her throw it against 2. I think that's a good decision.
And you know, when I was talking with Doherty earlier prior to this game, she was commenting about Annette Norberg having difficulty trying to draw the 4 on the final end against the United States. And she said on this ice, that is often a problem, trying to draw the 4-foot.
Line's good.
But the weight seems to change as the game goes on, Don, and that's the issue.
Got a bad lot. 6-5. Whoa. Fight the 4 line hard. Whoa, it's gonna bend. Fight the 4.
7-7-7, sorry.
Whoa. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Good, good, good.
Very nice shot.
Looks like it's coming
Buried enough. It's about 3/4 open,
Good judge, guys.
but it's going to be hard to get to the inside of this stone for Norway. And Doherty has
Nice shot,
indicated
Sarah.
the outturn freeze, or outturn draw to the 4-foot. Tough shot on these ice conditions.
You can see she just needs a bite of the button to get 1 point. Big pressure because it is a different path.
Out in a fresh path is always tough on frosty ice.
Had a couple of ends back, trying to go outside to the outturn side with a draw attempt. She came up well short. So this is the final stone of the 5th end. Big shot here for Doherty Nordby. She trails by a score of 3-2. She's looking at 2 Canadian stones.
Without him?
Fin
Yeah,
retning.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Got to go for line.
Will she get past the stone out front? Has she got enough weight? It's going to come up short, and it's going to be a steal of 2 for Canada.
Got caught in the fresh ice.
So for Jennifer Jones, this 5th end proves to be most rewarding as she picks up a pair and jumps into a 5-2 lead.
Here we go. 10 seconds.
Well, the Canadian team leads by a score of 5-2 through 5 ends of play, and Jennifer Jones has to be delighted with the performance through the first 5 ends against Doherty Nordby of Norway. And I think Jennifer Jones right now is standing by with Joan McCusker.
Thanks, Don. Jennifer, you've played on this ice all week. How would you expect things to change in the last 5 ends?
Well, it's actually gotten frostier each end. It's getting a little heavier, which we haven't seen. It's just usually in the latter half of the game. So I would expect that it'll keep getting heavier and heavier as the game goes on.
And how do you play a defense 3-point lead with this kind of ice conditions?
It's actually easier to defend than it is to try to generate offense because it's so heavy. So we're just going to hit away and hopefully not give her any chances for a deuce. And, you know, we're 3 up and we're feeling very comfortable.
Good luck in the last 5, Jennifer.
Thank you very much.
Lighting that last, the steal of 2.
We're not on, right? No, we're not on. We just got a point break.
A steal of 2 on end number 5 has Canada leading Norway by a score of 5-2 through 5 ends of play. And ice conditions constantly changing from first rock on the opening end to the final rock on the 5th end. And I think we saw an example of how these ice conditions have been changing as this game has progressed on the 3rd end when Jennifer Jones had some weight problems.
Well, you don't want to avoid drawing altogether. With 4-rock rule, you're going to have to come around some guards. So Jennifer Jones trying to come around to freeze, to get herself out of trouble, and you can see as soon as it takes the sweep, the sweepers cannot hold the line and will not be able to get this rock 2-shot stone.
Well, that was one of the problems. Jennifer Jones coming up light with both her draw attempts in the third end, and then Doherty Nordby had the opportunity after blanking end number 2 to get her pair back, Mike, with a final stone draw, but they had to do some work in that to get it there as well.
They did, and Doherty made a mistake on her first stone. She came up short on her first, and this is her second attempt, of course, made good on it. But again, go to the fifth end, and we saw Doherty get thrown out into the fresh ice, into the side that hadn't been used, and got caught. Sweepers weren't on that zone the whole way and came up short and gave up a big steal of 2 to Team Canada.
Well, that should be very big for Team Canada. The steal of 2 stones in the 4-foot ring, as Jennifer Jones made a couple of fine shots with her final 2 stones, and Doherty Nordby had problems coming up light with both of hers on the fifth end. So it's a 3-point game. Canada leading Norway by a score of 5-2 through 5 ends of play in this 3 versus 4 page playoff game at the Ford World Women's Championship in Paisley.
The World Women's Curling Championships on CBC. Brought to you by the original Strauss Heart Drops. Trust the tradition. By Karcher. You'll look for things to clean. And by Scott Paper Limited and its family of quality paper products.
Coming up later today on the main network of the CBC, beginning at 2 Eastern Time, the semifinal of the Ford World Women's Championship. It will be Annette Norberg of Sweden against the winner of this game. And at the moment, Canada's Jennifer Jones leads Doherty Nordby of Norway by a score of 5-2. That's at 2 Eastern on the main CBC network, the semifinal of the Ford Women's World Championship from Paisley, Scotland. The United States' Cassie Johnson, with her victory over Annette Norberg of Sweden in the 1-2 playoff game, has advanced to the final that will take place tomorrow.
Clean it looks light.
Yeah, you're right.
Hard. Hard, guys, every inch.
What is the split gel? It's 59, but I just think it's
Go,
heavier.
go.
It's gonna be heavier now,
Go,
I think.
go. Okay, good.
Sweeping. 52, that's all. I know, but I just didn't think.
Yeah, I know. I just figured we were better sweeping it.
Yeah, sorry. That's okay.
Jill Officer and Kathy Overton Clapham engaged in that conversation.
And I think typical of the ice conditions this week, as the game goes on, the draws will get heavier. Then they'll get to a certain point in the 9th or 10th end that they'll start to slide a little bit better. There's so much frost by then that the rocks kind of just glide forever. So it's just such difficult ice conditions to play aggressively on. You want to take advantage of the free guard zone and play what you would call normal. And you know, if a rock isn't in the 4-foot, throw a corner guard. It's just so very difficult to leave your skip a draw to the 4-foot. There is no range of error whatsoever for that person throwing.
Line's good. Bite the 4. 7, 8. Line's good.
Tons of room still, guys.
Yeah. No line.
8, 9.
No line. It's not going to get the frost. Whoa. Off.
9.
Are we heavy?
Yeah. No, it's not bad. Coming off a little.
It's a 7.
8. 8.
Good one, Kath. There it goes.
See?
It just comes right into the 4-foot and literally dies.
I don't know.
That's just hard to predict.
Stop in a hurry? Yeah. Well, I didn't. Yeah. But I said it's not bad. So.
Thanks for the support.
Ja. Ja. Bakom. Ja. Bakom till honom. Ja. Hårt av. Bara fart. Bakom till honom.
Good line here.
Genom.
Sweep it!
At 11 didn't hit it through, so.
Vi sa jo at det var gjennom, så hvorfor skulle du rope så jævlig på den?
Well, the Canadian team solicited some advice yesterday about playing against Doherty Nordby, and they spoke to Joan McCusker, who had the opportunity on a couple of occasions to play against Doherty at World Championship competition.
worked out good for Jill Officer. They also have combined experience of the two Kathys, Kathy Overton-Clapham and Kathy Gauthier, that have played against Doherty Nordby in the past as well. And what can you say about playing Doherty Nordby besides never, ever let her off the hook? She can come back from any deficit. She can change her game plan. She can throw surprises at you. And you cannot relax against this team. And I spoke to them a little bit about not leaving a lot of draws for this team. You want them to hit more than you would want them to draw.
Just a little rub off the top Canadian rock.
Tricky.
Feel the corner. Don't even try this straight back.
Vi spiller bowling.
Worked out well. I think Jennifer Jones is going to have to peel that corner guard regardless of where that stone stopped, but certainly an advantage to Norway that they're now lying shot. Stone might have come to the back 8 for second shot.
Clean, yep. Hard. Go hard, Kath. Hard, hard, hard. Hard, Kath.
Good call here, just a straight peel.
Right out.
Sorry.
Go, go, go. You're good.
Well, you talked about the experience that the two Kathys have had in the past.
Who's getting greasy? Bambi the deer?
With Connie Laliberti in 1992 and in 1995.
Den kula hadde vært å trykke den dit og selv gått dit.
Ja.
Both times.
Why not?
They lost in 92 in the semifinal to Elizabeth Gustafsson of Sweden, and in 1995 in the final in Brandon to the same Elizabeth Gustafsson of Sweden.
Well, there's no break for them here because it's a continuous uphill battle. If they prevail against Norway, they will have to play Annette Norberg, who is as good as Elizabeth Gustafsson's team and has been playing very, very well here. So Canada's going to need to take as many lessons as they can from this game to understand the ice and to know when to take chances and what shots are available to them early in the game versus later in the game, because that'll be a tough match as well.
Okay, Caddy.
I think the nose.
I think that front one's got
may not be in if we nose.
It's okay, but if I nose, I get the double gel.
Yeah, I know, but that's, I'm
Oh.
saying that's why maybe she's, I don't like that front
You
one.
don't like that?
You don't like the nose? She's just gonna tap that one back.
Yeah, but then we have that 5. If we nose it, we easily can do that. There's a rock back here.
No, the nose on the top one. She's thinking.
Nose on the top one.
Kathy Overton is looking at the double on those two yellow stones,
Oh,
but
but it jammed.
Jennifer Jones doesn't like the options of jamming on either of those two back red stones.
Oh, okay, forget it.
Just too much can go wrong with that.
Yeah,
Make her make that tap. Just pick it. If you clip the back one, that's great. But
Yeah, I just don't wanna.
like if we play this, that's pretty good.
Can I play the double this way?
I'm not worried about that rock.
Oh, okay. If not, that's fine. I am.
Okay, straight pick.
And the reason Jennifer Jones is playing the shot is that she will lie too, and
not worried about
that's
that
the
rock.
only reason
All right.
she would not
I could have
play
played
the double.
the other way. Yeah.
Okay, good throw.
I just don't think that yellow is good there, but
Let's not play this cute, Kat?
no.
Go count 9.5 then.
I thought it was a
It
good
says it's
discussion. I think Jennifer Jones is right. There's too many bad things that can go wrong with
8.5
playing the
or-
double.
yeah.
Just get rid of shot stone and make Norway deal with the top stone
She
or make
said,
it
yeah,
come
when I
into
said
play.
8.5.
She did.
8.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So big weight hit, no real attempt here to stay.
I don't think Clapham realized initially that there was the possibility of a jam if she attempted the double.
Got to get by the top. No, well swept. Good shot. Very nice.
You heard Jones also say she wasn't too worried about the top yellow stone.
Wasn't pretty though.
8.
I threw an 8.
Look at you, girlfriend.
I threw the 8.
Oh, she did? Oh. And they said it couldn't be done.
Who said I can't throw 8s?
And again, that's indicative of this ice surface. It's just not, rocks are just not gliding on it. So normally Kathy Overton-Clapham can throw a lot of weight, and that's just, it's just becoming one of those issues, is throwing the big weight takeout is so difficult.
Fremknagg!
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Whoa!
Ren!
Original calls to play the come around here, and this is over curling badly.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Gonna work out okay though. Short raise here though for Team Canada.
And I think that's what Jennifer Jones was alluding to earlier when she said she wasn't too concerned about that top yellow rock when Kathy Overton-Clapham wanted to play the double.
This is good. Okay. I like a 9. Okay.
Need to be careful here. There's a couple of stones to jam on at the back here, so just got to watch your angles. With the 3-point lead, you just want to keep eliminating opponent stones. You hate to leave them hanging around the back 12. Nose hit should leave Canada lying 3.
Yeah! Whoa! Whoa! No! Clean! No! Off! No! Right off. No!
Needs to move.
Second time I did that. Okay, Kath, that's fine. Sit. Okay.
Okay, Kath. Just ran.
Kath, is that 2 hit? Huh? Yes?
Yes, it did.
It's the second time I did that there.
Well, that could be a costly miss for
Got a little in out.
Canada.
Just ran. Sorry.
It's okay.
Thought I threw it okay.
Playing a draw. A little surprised not hitting one of these stones at the back 12. Try to get that top one to count at some point at the end.
Either, I don't know if I like the hit on the back ones or a freeze on one of those back ones, but by bringing this rock in to the forfeit area, there'll be a double available for Jennifer Jones, although she will have to negotiate the jam on the backs.
Lost the line. Trying to make sure they spin in for 4th shot. They did.
And they got second shot out of it, which was the bonus.
Yep, 2nd and 4th. A little bit dangerous right now for Team Canada. Jam possibility, and there is a double though. Nose hit should leave them lying 2.
Okay, let's make it.
Yeah, let's go, Jim. Could I wait? 9?
Like a firm 9, though.
Okay.
And make sure they don't kill one of. Make sure they kill one of these stones, and don't double jam them at the back. The double jam is available, is possible. Anything near the nose though should do it.
We saw Kathy Overton-Clapham's rock run very straight here. Jennifer thought she might have been a little bit wide, a little in out.
9! Whoa. No. Close. Whoa! Let it curl.
Trying to drive it back onto the other yellow stone. She'll get a jam and jam on her own at the back as well.
Sorry, I was watching it.
But fortunately, the one yellow stone does roll out of the rings.
Straight.
Very fortunate.
Hey, Jen.
So full on you.
That wasn't bad.
Stone at the back just gets out.
Put it back, I thought.
Så vi drar in 2-eren.
Or they third, I guess.
The dangerous situation here for Canada is that Norway's lying 1st and 3rd, and we'll have an opportunity to draw, to freeze tap on the second shot stone, and could lie 3 when this shot, rock comes to rest.
All of Doherty's draws so far have over-curled and been light, so she's going to need to get out to the broom here. We've seen rocks in this spot in the second end really curl, really finish.
60 på den, ja. Rett og slett den som jeg spilte ned her, liksom.
And at that end, remember, they're taking center line to get all the way out to the edge of the 12, so this is not a lot of ice in this spot compared to what we saw in the second end.
Well, in the round robin game, it was the 6th end where things looked innocent enough early in the end, and all of a sudden, wham, the Norwegian jumped on Canada for 5 points.
Shot. Great job. Fly 3.
Jeg merket jeg skled ut at jeg hadde litt lite fart. Så I stedet for å den vanlige så måtte jeg ble med litt, så da ble den litt hardere enn den.
You can see how hard that rock is curling. So good thing she had that much weight. She would have racked on the
Yeah, I
top
think
yellow
so.
stone. It was a great shot, lying 3.
Yeah. 9.5.
Looking for a hit and roll. If it runs a little straight, they might get lucky and make the double, but certainly would just love to roll the shooter even into top of the 8-foot. Force Doherty into a difficult shot for her 2.
Pardon?
Holding them to 2 right now would be quite good, I'm thinking.
9.5?
Yeah.
Good job.
Well, 2 misses. The first by Kathy Overton Clapham and then by Jennifer Jones herself. And as a result, the Canadian team finds itself in difficulty on this 6th end, leading by 3, but at the moment looking at 3 Norwegian stones.
9. Whoa. Yep. Whoa. Hard. Hard.
Jones making contact with 1, with 2, but she will roll the shooter too far. So an opportunity now for Norway to score 3.
Free draw for 3.
Jennifer going for the double hard the whole way. Swept this one right out of her hand, but couldn't stick the shooter. And with it rolling over the top and out of the rings, and that jam on the back, it gives Norway that chance. Free draw here
44
for 3.
Jeg tror vi drar den veien her. Og så går vi innenfor der.
So how quickly things will change. A 3-point lead is never safe against Doherty Nordby. I can't say that more times than enough. You know that they're going to be lingering, waiting to get those points back.
Jeg må jo ned I fart da.
Very well played end by Norway this end. Although we had a couple of jams by Team Canada, they made some nice freezes
Nå går jeg den veien hvor
taps.
alle andre har dratt.
Very fortunate roll by Lynn Githmark. They didn't get plan A, the shot they called for, but rolling in for second shot was very, very fortunate.
So an opportunity for Doherty Nordby after having 2 points stolen from her on the 5th end, with a free draw for 3 here on the 6th to get back on even terms. Certainly looks good.
Oh, it's skating.
Oh, is it going to go a little too far?
Oi, se den da! Plukka!
No, it's going to hang at the back of the 8. Kathy Overton Clapham is taking a look at the red stone, but I don't think there's much doubt it's going to be a score of 3 for Norway and a tie game.
3 seconds.
Dunbarton Castle, close to Loch Lomond, not far, about 30 minutes away from Paisley. And here we are inside the Lagoon Leisure Centre. And Canada and Norway in a 5-5 tie through 6 ends of play. Jill Officer's brother, Rob, to the right of the screen. Sitting beside him is Fuji Miki, who is the coach of the Japanese women's team. And his son, Brian, played with Greg McCauley the last time the World Championships were held in Scotland, not far from here at the Braehead Centre. McCauley won the men's world. Kelly Law won the women's world.
Come again.
6th time, actually, that the World Championships have been held in Scotland. The very first Women's World was held in Perth in 1979.
6 down.
Perth is about 80 kilometers away from Paisley.
Tid viktig.
Vi litt usikre. You never know.
Ja, fint. Bra, Snia.
We heard Jennifer Jones talk about how hard it is to play offensively in the latter part of the game, and here we have her hitting in the
Nice, sweet.
7th end when she has last rock. This would be very unusual for Jennifer. She would normally not call this way. She would normally throw up the corner guard.
I'm very impressed actually with the patience she's showing right now. This is I know it's against every instinct in her body to hit this stone in the 4-foot, but ice conditions are dictating this call.
Well, Kathy Gauthier, as we said, had some difficulties earlier in the round robin competition, but she finished strongly, 85 and 90% in her last 2 games. And she's having another strong game, out curling her Norwegian rival at lead stones by a considerable margin.
Well, Camilla Holt also struggled all week. She was the only member of this Norway team that was under the Canadians for the cumulative stats. And we saw her as earlier in the game struggling with draw weight, being mystified by some of the areas. Some are keener in areas than others, some paths. But as we said, we watched Jordy Nordby's rock come into the ring last. And with that free draw for a 3, looking very, very heavy, and it stopped in the back 4 foot. When those rocks put on the brakes, nobody would be able to carry them.
Clean. Way out there.
Just clean.
No,
Off.
just off.
Right off. Right
Off, off, off. It's just hanging in the frost. Come on,
Okay.
As we said right off the top of the show, as it gets frostier, the rocks will be straighter on the takeouts. So they have to tighten up that ice. Take less ice, it's not going to curl as much.
But you also made an interesting comment, Joan, when it was 5-2 after 5 ends of play. You said never discount Jordy Nordby. She has the ability to fight back, and we certainly saw that on the 6th end, aided by a couple of Canadian misses.
But a couple of good shots also by Norway. And I think the reason why she is just so good at coming back is that experience develops an attitude. She just has that very loose demeanor about her. She does not get uptight. She does not yell and scream at her teammates or have a temper tantrum. She just slowly goes about setting up her opportunity to get multiple points.
We saw the numbers for the seconds. Marion Haslam and Jill Officer. Haslam at times has struggled with her draws.
Good, Jill.
And as has just about everyone here, the numbers specifically for percentages on the draws, when you broke down the cumulative stats, all the numbers for draw weight were very, very low. And I was thinking back to other World Championships, like, is this unusual to have trying ice conditions at World Championships? It's not. It certainly has happened before that we've seen when we are at World Championships, especially in Europe, the ice tends to be very, very straight, and that's not the case here. But we had that frost problem in this building. We were in a World Championship in Oberstdorf in '94 that there was a 3.5 second difference from one end to the other for drawing, and it completely threw people for a loop when draw weight going one way would come well short of the rings, and the next way would be in the hack. It certainly threw people off. So always something that the Canadian teams have to deal with. We're so used to good ice conditions during our Canadian Championships that coming to a more challenging situation is a real test for our Canadian teams.
Jeg spiller 11.
Pretty straightforward end here, this 7th end and a 5-5 tie.
A nice shot.
Little inside roll from Lynn Githmark.
Lynn has every shot available to her. We watched her play last year against Colleen Jones, but during that round robin, she hits very well, she draws very well. She's just a very good shot maker for Jordy Nordby.
Kathy Overton Clapham with a slight advantage over Lynn Githmark at 3rd stone.
Clean. Mark clean. Good.
Shot, Kath.
Well, Jennifer Jones is looking for the blank here now as we get late into the end. And the one difficult thing on frosty ice is out in the wings, the rocks get caught quite often when you're trying to peel stones out, and not always as easy as you might think to blank an end. Certainly Doherty Nordby would love to force Jennifer Jones into making that big weight hit and roll.
Yes.
Roll out of the rings. She needs to stay on her final stone, Doherty Nordby does.
Well,
Fin, Elin. Og det var bra du kjørte på fart der ute, for det knakk på slutten, så du det?
Ja. Jeg prøvde å se.
Clean. No. Clean. Yep. Roll it away. Hard. Yep. Sorry, Kat. Good.
Overton Clapton was hoping to get a bit of a roll, but it's almost a nose hit.
Roll it away. No. No. Rush.
Usually the round robin competition at a world championship is a 10-team affair. This year 12 teams participating. China making its debut at the world championships, and the Chinese women didn't do badly, 4 and 7.
It's one of the reasons why they split the world championships between the men's and the women's, putting them in 2 different events, was that they'd be able to have more teams participate at world championships, and that's the only way the sport is going to grow, get it into more countries and get more interest. So that is one of the reasons why they have a separate women's championship from the men.
Italy was also back in this year's competition, finishing with a 2-9 record.
And then the other change, as you pointed out off the top of the show, Dawn, is the page playoff system. It's the first time ever that they have used a system other than the sudden death semifinal. In the past, they would take first versus fourth, second versus third, sudden death, and the winners go on to the final, the losers on to the bronze medal game. So this page playoff system is brand new to the World Curling Championships.
And we'll also see the page playoff system at the Men's World Championship that gets underway next weekend in Victoria.
Yeah, this way. Oh, it's okay. It's okay, this clean.
The Men's Ford Worlds at the Save-On Center, the brand new facility in Victoria. Randy Furby, of course, the Canadian representative.
No.
Doing some television work here in Paisley for German television, Uli Kapp, who will be a member of the German team in Victoria.
I know I've spoken to a couple of the European teams here this week, and they're very much looking forward to a great trip over to Victoria. Looking forward to seeing the city. And I know that the European teams always love playing in Canada in front of some big crowds and generally good ice conditions. Doherty's rolling over to this out-turn spot that we've seen run straight several times this game. The in-turn coming home, we saw Kathy Overton miss one wide, and Kathy Gauthier's second stone of this end, rather, did run very straight.
And as you said, Mike, the house is not very lively. The frost holds rocks up, so it's not the rock that she's hitting that has trouble getting out of the rings. It's her shooter that she wants to roll right out, and that heavy frost on the outside sometimes will hold it up, and in other ice conditions would easily roll to the boards.
Final stone of the end for Jennifer Jones. Wanting to hit and roll to save the shooter, and she will.
Great brushing to hold that rock out into the frost and get the blank.
So in a 5-5 tie, 3 ends remain. Canada will retain last rock advantage.
Lots of frost.
Annette Norberg of Sweden awaits the winner of this 3 versus 4 page playoff game. Canada and Norway in a 5-5 tie, playing end number 8. Canada with last rock, first on the board, a deuce on the first. The second was blanked. Nordby got a pair back on the third. Canada with a single point in the fourth, and then stole 2 on the fifth. But the Norwegians came right back with 3 on the sixth end. And after blanking the seventh, Jennifer Jones will retain last rock advantage into the eighth.
Well, Jennifer Jones purposely blanked 7 so she'd have an opportunity to score here in 8. So you know that there's going to be some rocks into play.
I don't think we're going to see Norway throw a rock in the rings here. They would love to force the issue here in 8.
I think even if she did throw a rock in the rings, Jennifer would throw a corner guard.
The point is moot, and they're going around the center guard. A high center guard here from Nordby will allow Kathy Gauthier an opportunity to start things off here for Team Canada. Love to have this in front of the tee line, at least partly around this center guard.
And we talk about how you might err if you're not going to get the perfect shot, which is top 8 foot, top 4 foot. Then second best is short of the rings. You cannot slide behind the tee line.
Unless it hits all this. Stop.
Okay, Kat.
Ground in hard at the end. Not bad, a little deep, probably about 1.5 feet too deep.
But as you said, not bad. And the reason why it's too deep is if Norway comes and freezes onto it, now Canada's working on a very, very small house, just a couple of feet around that button.
13 times Canada has won this Women's World Championship. Most recently a year ago when Colleen Jones was the winner over this same Nordby Nordby, and she has provided her country with its only 2 championships back-to-back in 1990 and 1991.
This rock needs to curl.
Camilla continues to struggle. Well, that did not have a very good line nor the right weight.
Okay.
Well, you always talk, Joan, about the 8th end being a critical end in a tight game. And Canada, with last rock, is going to try and apply the pressure and get multiple points.
I think the bottom line in the 8th end, a steal would just be a huge momentum swing for Norway. Even if you score 1 here, Team Canada, you're not in a bad position. You have to avoid the steal.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Right over. Whoa.
Gauthier wanted to remove that Norwegian stone and just flop on top of her own, but her shooter rolls out of play.
Good weight. I thought that was going to stick no problem.
I thought it would too. Oh, well, he swept it all the way, Jen.
Another attempt for Nordby to come down on top of the shot rock sitting at the top of the button.
Now the stone is even deeper into the rings. It was bumped back ever so slightly by Norway on their last freeze attempt. Good freeze here will really cut down the rings and will present a decent opportunity to steal here for Norway.
Helst ikke! Bedre for kort. Husk det. Ja, ikke rør den. Ikke rør den.
Line's not too bad again, just a touch heavy.
Synd da. Det er bra forsøk.
65. Da er det ikke noe tregere der. Jeg fikk 65 på.
Got it all?
Ja.
Firm 10, 9.5 to 10.
Okay.
Jones very definite in the weight she wants Jill Officer to throw. Good shot.
Okay.
Just opens things up by rolling away, a chance for Nordby Nordby to make a hit and roll, even a double.
If it does overcurl, you let it go.
Yeah, I didn't want to baby it, so it's closer to 9, that's all. Not more than
Ren. 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 Ja! 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 Oh!
Haslam rolls over and just past the Canadian shot stone.
got caught in between.
The winner of this game takes on Annette Norberg in the semi-final, and you'll see the game at 2 Eastern on the main CBC network, the semi-final of the Ford World Women's Championship from here in Paisley, 2 Eastern time on the main network of the CBC.
Whoa! More up. No. Right off.
In out.
Right off.
Well, then we contact first.
Right off. Right off. Right off. Right off. Right off. Okay.
A couple of times now where Team Canada in attempting takeouts and just a bit of a flop, rolling the shooter out of play.
The stone right on the tee line now. Team Canada stone. Good opportunity for a freeze. Again. First 2 attempts coming heavy.
Nå kommer han.
Kommer han faen nå?
Nå kommer han. Helst ikke. Wow. Brekk da.
Kølla!
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 Dorothy Nordby attempting to apply a little body English to the freeze attempt by Githmark, and it is just a little wide and a little heavy.
Satt ordentlig spinner.
Just didn't take the swing they wanted, and again, just heavier, I think, than they needed to be.
We're good, yeah.
No, you guys,
Either way.
you guys don't need to switch.
I don't know. I need some circus music, though.
Got a 4-foot, you guys. Fight the 4 for sure.
Kathy Gocek is quite a character. She is the comic relief, I think, on this team.
She's also the oldest member of the team. Played as a spare last year with Jennifer Jones. Kathy Overton Clapton was the new recruit to the Jones team this year.
Let it work. No line at all.
7, 6.
Off, Kath.
7.
Off.
This one has to dig in and curl, and it's going to do neither.
Okay, Kath.
The sweepers were confused on that one too. They were calling out 6-7, which would have been tee line or just short of the tee line. And that one, of course, went back 12. So kind of a group effort there, not knowing what draw weight is.
So another attempt to come down to the shot stone for Lynn Githmark.
It's a fourth chance here for Norway to make this freeze. In this end.
Helst ikke.
This is the same. It's hanging wide. Just heavy again.
How difficult is it to call sweeping when you get cross conditions like this?
Well, I mean, I think the difficulty for the second time down the path, there's no excuse, I would say. I think the first time it is quite difficult late in a game to predict what the speed's going to do. But on both attempts from Norway, they tried 2 on the in turn, then 2 on the out turn, and they were all missed heavy. So I think the first time we can excuse, the second time, really not a great shot.
No line.
Well, this is the second time for Kathy Overton Clapham to follow the same path.
Heavy.
And again, she might be a little heavy.
6. No line. 7. Heavy.
Whoa! Heavy again, you guys. Jeez.
Still throwing more than she's throwing again.
Remember we talked about what the guess is on frosty conditions, and they'll continue to get heavier and heavier and heavier until you get to a point where the frost actually fills up all the spaces between the little drops of pebble, and it'll actually keen up. And I think that's what we're getting to right now in this game, is that it's now starting to keen up again, and the rocks are now sliding more than what they were 2 ends ago.
Can't believe the first one went that far.
Yeah, I had less.
So this will be yet another attempt to come down and freeze to that Canadian shot stone.
Again, 3rd time in the same path here for Norway, so you'd like to think they'd have a pretty good chance of making this.
Now, even if she doesn't get shot stone and is just frozen down to that red stone, it'll make Jennifer Jones' attempt to get more than 1 point a lot more difficult.
It'd be scary.
Who's got?
Just freeze right to that stone on the tee line.
Helst ikke lang gå, lang
Hvor er
gå.
den? Må kølle! Må kølle! Kølle! Dere bestemmer nå. Kommer nå. Kommer nå.
Question of weight and curl, and it
Kommer nå.
looks as though it's going to bend enough to at least catch a piece of the stone, but it's still shot.
Den er bra, den.
Yeah.
I almost think I want to come with the other turn though. Kat.
You do? Okay.
Well, I just don't know. We're not getting the finish there. We could always rub off.
Yeah.
Køle mindre nå.
Yeah, it's just not finishing.
Nice chance here for Jennifer Jones. Little mistake there for Nora. They're going to need to be
shade, yeah.
careful. Out turn freeze into the same spot, just top of the button.
Hey, Jen. Same you've been throwing, Jen. Yeah.
6.
You can even throw 7.
65, yeah.
Yeah, 65 to 7 is good. Split 4 and 56. Just
Yeah, but she's over here.
You'll be
think-
fine with 7, I
Okay.
think, Jill.
Let us know the weight. We can always come off that yellow. It's
Yeah.
actually a pretty good shot to come off that yellow.
Okay. Good throw.
Chance to really put some pressure on Nordby here with a good shot.
Full 4 line, good.
Whoa, it's got to bend.
5, 6.
Got to be full 4.
6, 7.
Got to bend.
Whoa,
Ah, must be heavy.
This has to slow down. It has to curl as well.
It's very heavy.
Must be heavy. Throw the shooter, Jill. Okay. It's all right.
Just didn't move.
And that's the same path that Lynn Githmark and Dory Nordby played as well. And theirs did not curl up as either
Jen?
and slid very well.
Not bad, eh?
Yeah.
I got 1289.
Initially, Dory Nordby had indicated that she was going to try and come down to that Canadian stone with the in-turn. Now she's looking at the out-turn possibilities.
Yeah.
And has opted for her first choice.
Well, I think ideally you'd like to come down and perhaps slide 2, but a great shot right here would be to stop actually at the top of the button and really make scoring difficult for Jennifer Jones. If you do happen to come down and tap that red zone back, Jennifer Jones will simply be able to follow you down. Again, the dangerous part again on this ice is how unpredictable draw weight is from side to side. And we saw Kathy Overton and Claphamstone's glide much further than Kathy Gauthier's first stone of the end did in this spot. Little bump.
Whoa. Yep.
Vent!
Yep. Oh.
Vent!
Oh.
Nå kommer den.
Vær fart.
Wow.
Vær fart.
This stone has some curling to do.
Should finish here for Doherty with her in.
Curl!
Is it going to curl enough to make contact?
Kom igjen!
Vi ligger med 3.
Well, it's enough to lie 2.
It'll work, absolutely. Because of where her Yellowstone is on the left-hand side, it cannot be removed. That was enough. So the rock on the left-hand side, right at the tee line, is shot stone and will not be able to be moved for Jennifer Jones to get more than 1 stone. So she's just got to draw 2 backing to the side of the button for a point.
Line is everything here. I don't think you can hit this yellow one on the nose with draw weight. You may have to just get to the inside of it, center line side of that stone that's full 4 foot.
The good news is, of course, she's just thrown this straw and knows that this line takes a long time before it curls. Ice conditions are changing again. It's a little bit straighter, a little bit keener than 2 ends ago.
But we've seen some other stones come down this same path and not react.
Well, the danger is overthrowing this a bit and having it run straight. There is a possibility they need to get to the nose to hold them to 1.
Needs to curl lots. Off. Needs to curl lots.
Take off the
Needs
red.
to curl lots. Lots.
Lots. Lots.
Ooh,
Tough one. Okay,
she
Jen.
makes contact, but
Yeah.
it's a steal of one. She needed to get a little inside roll off the Yellowstone. She did not get it. And with the steal, the Norwegians lead with 2 ends remaining.
4 years.
The Paisley Town Center, just a short distance from the Lagoon Leisure Center. During the 19th and 20th centuries, Paisley was known as the center of the world's textile industry. Paisley shawls were famous at that time. Joan, you could probably use one today. It's a little chilly here inside the Leisure Center.
It's so cold. Gotta tell you, it's freezing in here. And part of the keeping it cold is an attempt to keep the ice conditions. And as we've commented this last 8th end, it's a continuing moving target. And I think both teams are being fooled by the ice changing. There is so much frost now that it's actually a little keener and straighter than what they've seen 2 ends ago. And it is one of those situations that you have to believe what you see. And Team Canada needs to start talking about what that draw weight is back to what normal was, maybe at the beginning of the game, and really buckle down here. When you were 1 down with last rock playing the 9th end, you want to either blank the end or you want to get 2 so that you have that advantage coming home. Playing for the extra end, assuming the other team will get their 1 point.
4, 5.
And again, for Doherty Nordby, it's a good call here to throw center. They'd love to have the hammer coming home. They don't mind as much giving up to her. Again, the blank is the least preferable option, I think, for Norway at this stage, other than giving up 1. But
Okay, Kat.
We hear them talk again about they're being fooled by how keen the ice is getting. It is hard to believe when you've played 7 ends of the ice getting heavier, 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 and then when it turns, it's hard to convince yourself to throw that light.
Well, the delay is waiting for Lynn Githmark to return to brush this stone for Camilla Halth. And again, we point out for the first time at these Women's World Championships, the time clock is being used for this 3 versus 4 page playoff game. Time clocks were not available during round robin competition.
Hold rent. Gjerne frys nedpå.
Ja, men den er helt nedpå.
Oi, ja. Det skifter ofte køl, den sugeren.
Well, we talked earlier about the frost levels on different sheets. And if you look on the right side, this is sheet D, the sheet that is warmer. And it's dark blue circles. The right side of the sheet in particular is the warmest place in the building. As it gradually go to the left onto our sheet, you look at the whiteness that you see in that. And that is all due to ice temperature. 28, 29 degrees on the outside of the sheet, and on our sheet it's 16 degrees the ice. And again, if you do the math, if you want to raise the temperature on the center sheets a few degrees, 3 degrees only will take you to 32, which is water on that outside sheet. And the ice makers have got really very little choice here but to keep the ice at this cold temperature. And again, we combine that with high humidity, again as high as 81% yesterday. This morning when we were in here was 73% in the building, so very, very difficult situation for the ice makers.
So Hans Wuthrich and Dave Merklinger, if you're watching, how would you cope with those conditions? Particularly when the dehumidifiers
aren't working. It's quite amazing. So at least they've been able to save some movement, some swing here.
Kom igjen! Kom igjen! Hold it!
Just papered the guard.
Slipping behind the tee line. Canada can use that rock if they can get one of their own in front of it.
What do you see?
There's a few Canadian rocks hanging around the outside 12 foot here as well. Just one little miss here from from Norway could result in a chance to score multiple points.
I'm just thinking of coming in. Is it behind the fourth tee line?
The first call was for Jennifer wanted to play bumper. She wanted to remove one of those yellow stones, and her team is telling her that that's not an option for her because of the guard.
Actually, it's such a
I
long
was thinking
guard.
peel or top 4, but just because it's behind the tee line, that's all.
Yeah, we could always do that later.
What?
We could always find it later.
We peel that she's going to have to tuck around the
Which is fine, then we'll run the red and sit another one in the house.
I think bumper would get
This
it.
double goes, right?
I just don't know if it'll warp enough with bumper. That's our problem.
I agree with Kathy Overton-Clapham. When you peel this guard, you know that Dorothy Nordby is going to
Like
come
the
into
peel?
the top 8
It's okay. We
and try to
peel,
half
she
tuck
tucks
around
then
the
we play
red,
that red.
right in there.
I just-
And that's what you're going to be
it's
faced
early.
with when you make this peel.
Jill's
go,
first
Jill.
one. Hey, Jill.
I like coming in there right now, but again, it's you got to go with your gut. With the ice conditions changing, your team not feeling great about draw weight right now.
And I
This
think
might be a safer call.
and I think they're trying to find ways to make those other 2 stones in the rings count as well, which is tough to think they're going to come into play at this stage of the end. But one little miss here from Norway
I think right out.
could result in those
Right
2
out is
red
good.
stones coming into play.
Don't need to block that side.
Good, Jill.
60, nu fyllde 44.
Nordby would like Haslam to come to the top of the 4.
Fin retning!
4.
Team.
Hold rent! Veldig rent! Veldig rent! Ja! Ja! Hardt! 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 Kom igjen! Litt til! Kom igjen, kort, kort, kort!
Good shot.
Ja, men den flyttet seg ikke.
It's a very good shot. Now Canada has to deal with that rocking. You see, it'll just tuck around the red stone in the top 12 foot. So that's a hard rock to move and keep your shooter in play. Nice shot.
Jeg visste den var der.
Think I like that.
Ja, jeg hadde sett det to.
Or do you want to run that?
I like that.
Like that.
Okay.
Then we stick it.
I like it.
9.
With it.
Good throw, Jill.
Hey, Jill.
Trying to run her own red back onto the yellow stone that was just played by Haslam.
She could ever hit 3/4 of this stone and save both of the one she raises and her shooter. Put a lot of pressure on
Clean
Dorothy
up.
Nordby.
Whoa. Whoa.
Needs to curl just a little, save the shooter.
Oh. Okay.
Had a girl.
I had an 8.
Shot. Okay. Just missed it. Rock one.
The Canadian team in the last couple of ends just half shots, not making the really good shots that they've had to.
Hva tror du det får ta der?
Hvor lang er den?
It's a long way out.
Den går lenger ut på rimet. Kan vi trykke den?
As it
Nå kommer den.
comes into the rings, it begins to move. Will it move enough? It's going to come to the back of the 8 foot.
Det er ikke så det.
It's tough to imagine those stones coming into play now.
Ja.
The back 12 and the top 8, but Jennifer Jones looking at a run back.
Ja, for hvis jeg tenker 60, så
Freeze is the
legger jeg til
easier
helt
shot.
feil svar, så- Ja, men jeg kjenner
I
meg
agree,
så
Mike. I don't think there's any point trying to bring any of those other rocks into play. Now you're looking at your best chance just to get 2, and that is get a rock in the 4 foot.
Nei, men drar hun på 60, så kan jeg fryse.
Although Jennifer is still taking a long, hard look at the possibility of a run back.
Well, I don't mind that straight back a little bit, except for if you don't make it, then we're in big trouble. So this is a good shot.
What I threw down here is going to be too heavy, eh?
Throw what you 7, Kath, and 65 what you threw in the beginning of the game.
It's a good confirmation. They are back to the same draw weight as the first end. As keen as it was in the first end, you have to forget what you threw throughout the rest of the game.
Line's good, yeah! Hard line! Hard line!
Light.
They're light, and they're going to come on top of that Canadian stone at the top of the 12, I believe.
Go, line it up. Hard! Hard, keep going, push hard. Hard, Cal. Go.
It's well
I think
short.
it's this way.
Yeah, I
The
agree.
struggles continue. I
I
feel
had a
so
good split. I
badly
had a good
for
split.
them. They're just really
That
fighting
67.
what
That's
they're
what
what
you
they're
should've
seeing
thrown.
out there and what
That
is
way.
draw weight,
Yeah.
how much will it curl. It's just a difficult headspace, I
home
think,
is-
right now.
Yes.
Keener.
Well, you
Got it
heard the
now.
crowd reaction, and that was for the World
Crushing.
Senior Men's victory by Baz Buckle of Corner Brook, Newfoundland over the United States.
I didn't even line it up.
Yeah!
Whoa!
5-4 the final score. At the senior level, they only play 8 end games.
Whoa! Whoa! Yeah! Whoa!
Good-looking shot here. Great line.
Canada's in all sorts of trouble here on this 9th end.
Again, the nice thing is they're behind the tee line, but you still need to make a shot here. So this is
think
the
that's-
shot of the end right now.
Huh?
Go down there.
Overton Clapham is going to go down and talk with Jennifer Jones about the shot.
There's two options, the freeze, or Jennifer is looking at the
think we gotta
double
play this,
tap
eh?
back.
Do you think it's lined up? Oh, I have to hit it
Half
3/4.
rock.
Here. Right?
Yeah, half rock.
I think this is a very difficult shot because she has to hit.
Okay.
She
9
cannot
and a half?
hit
9?
more than
9 and a
half of a
I
stone.
can
If
throw 9.
No,
If
throw
it-
9.5.
over curls on the top one, she'll miss those those rocks in the
Good
back
one.
behind the tee line.
And what will happen is Doherty Nordby will come
9 and a
around and go
half.
right here, top
9,
of the
I
forefoot
mean.
again. So
Said
need to
9.
hit
Okay, Kat.
this stone
No,
onto
9 and
the
a half.
outside,
9 and a half,
driving it
throw
straight
9.
back.
No, I know.
Tough shot, tough to get the angle.
You guys.
Well, this would certainly
quarters,
help
we'll
the
get
Canadian team get out of trouble on this 9th end if Overton Clapham can be successful with this run back.
Whoa!
No, close.
No! Close!
Whoa.
Yeah! Hard!
Can they catch it at the right angle to drive it back? The red onto the red.
Atta girl.
And
It's a good shot.
she moves those
Very
stones
good
around, but does open things up.
That's a
Shot,
great
you
shot.
opened it up.
There's
That's a good shot, Kat.
tons of rocks to draw down to.
Great shot. A little thinner.
Yeah? Oh, thinner. I thought it
Yeah.
had to curl.
She was
Well, they-
disappointed. She thought that
had
she
to
was
hit
going
it
to be able to
this way
stick
more. You know, like it came
the
back to
second red rock that she
spun off.
raised, but it rolled out to be third shot, I believe.
To stick it, she had to hit that top one even
stiffer, that,
thinner.
you know, your
A
weight
third
that
of a
way would
rock, a
come
quarter of a rock.
This way.
Those are why those are so difficult when you have that
Come on, Liv.
double raise. How thin you need to hit the top one to angle the second one back.
Det blir en skikkelig IKEA-sofa, men det får vi bare tåle. Jeg sier det blir en skikkelig IKEA-sofa,
And as
men
you
det får
said,
vi
Mike, the
bare
good
tåle.
news is there are many stones
Sofa.
available for Jennifer Jones to freeze down to try to get her 2 points.
Vi tar den der, du.
Doherty Nordby with her first stone of this 9th end, leading by a point.
And this is inside, right out of her hands.
Is she going to get any of the red stone? Just a corner of it.
I'm not gonna.
You know, that actually helped Doherty quite a bit. It just
Den er veldig kul, den Doide.
bunched
Ja, men
all
jeg
the stones on
fikk
kind of
vi
one
ikke
side of the
sofa?
sheet.
Men
Got away
gud,
with
for en
it.
slide. Møkkaslide.
Ja, den.
She's had a couple of good breaks in this game with the stone that the shot that they initially played
That's
not
enough? I mean, too much?
working out
No?
the way they
Okay.
intended, but getting a good rub or a bit of a run back, a bit of a raise.
So the freeze has been called here by Jennifer Jones.
Freeze
Be
it
nice
right
to
on
go
there.
there, but I'd really like to see her try to bump this stone maybe back into this area
Yeah, she did.
and leave a little wall
Right on
back,
the button. So what am I thinking? 65, 7?
That's what I think. Sounds good.
back of the 8 foot.
Heavier
It's
going
very
this way?
difficult for
A little
Doherty.
bit. Comes off a little.
As you said, Don, the open hit is not Doherty Nordby's strength. And I think that's what Jennifer Jones needs to make Doherty play. So a little tap back to make Doherty make a play on this shot stone of Canada would be ideal.
Wait only.
She definitely has to get shot stone here. She's going to be faced with a very difficult shot to score.
Line's good. Oh, it looks heavy.
Yeah, 7-8.
It's very heavy. Off.
No, no, no.
Is it going to bend enough to make contact with the shot stone?
Stay with it.
She's trying.
That one didn't.
Okay.
Well, Canada has shot, but it's wide open.
Yeah, me too.
It's nice weight that Jennifer threw.
Thought that
Again,
would've been good weight.
it's
Yeah,
just straightened up
63
again. It has not curled as much
Great
as what
weight.
she anticipated.
And nothing really to jam on here for Doherty Nordby
weight,
unless
Jen.
she misses it completely.
Come up a little bit.
Yeah.
But anything near the nose will be enough.
A nose hit, and Jennifer Jones will be looking at 4 as she throws her final stone.
I think Doherty would like to roll away here. She'd like to roll out of the way, force that same shot down there for Team Canada.
Down. Whoa. 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 Whoa.
She's got a good piece of it.
Well, Canada's looking at 5.
That's about as good as she could have done. Left a port and made the double.
Well, Doherty Nordby over the years has been a thorn in the side of Canadian women's teams at World Championship play. And the pressure is now on Jennifer Jones as she delivers the final stone of the 9th end, looking at 5 Norwegian rocks.
And so
Say
the nice
last
thing
pass,
is they
just
did
a
just throw
shade,
this
yeah.
exact shot.
What'd you get?
63.
Need a 7 then. I need to give you guys.
Yep.
So will we be tied going to the 10th end,
It's good.
Yep.
or will Norway have control?
Clean, hard cleaning.
Sneeze button.
No, 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 no. Just cleaning, it's
Whoa,
good.
looks
Oh,
heavy.
No, 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 no.
Needs to curl to
Stay close.
use the backing.
They don't want to find that port or they're in big trouble, and it is going to slide too far. It's a steal of 3.
This one for sure. Yeah. 3.
Steal of 3, and that could be game, set, and match for Canada's hopes of moving to the semi-final game against Annette Norberg of Sweden.
Not down the middle.
Well, things look so promising for Team Canada through 5 ends. They led by 3, but Norway has come back with 2 3-enders, and they have a huge 9-5 lead with 1 end remaining.
Didn't curl. Even if we would have just given up.
Welcome back to Paisley and the Lagoon Leisure Center as we get set for the 10th and final end of this 3-4 page playoff game, and the dejected Jennifer Jones sitting on the bumper behind the sheet. She had an opportunity to move into this 10th end in a tie, but she was heavy with her final rock draw, and as a result a steal of 3 has Doherty Nordby headed towards the semifinal game against Sweden. 4 is not impossible, but highly improbable.
Well, Jennifer took 3 coming home to beat Norway in the round robin, but as you say, on 4 is a big change. But you know, 7 unanswered points since the 5th end break, and really just a question of just poor execution from Team Canada the last half of this game.
I think it's adjusting to the change. Where does the change come in the ice conditions, and picking up and believing what you see? I think the same mistake was made over and over and over again, and that was as the frost came in the ice straightened up both on hits and on draws, and also became keener. And that was Team Canada's undoing so far in this game.
Hard. Okay, we're okay, sorry.
Well, it was Nordby who had struggled with draw
What did you
attempts
split?
in the first 5 ends.
Oh.
And with the steal of 2, with 2 fine draws by Jennifer Jones on the 5th, it made it a 5-2 game. And then a couple of mistakes in the 6th, and it was tied. And since then, Norway has controlled the game.
And Norway won't be putting any rocks in play here at this end. And we'll start peeling on the very next throw, coming from Marianne Haslam. And Jennifer Jones needs a nose hit to get things underway. She's going to throw another corner guard and will need a nose hit and then some help. She wants to score 4 here in the 10th.
Well, Doherty Nordby just managed to squeak into the playoffs. She was involved in the tiebreaker with Russia. Won that one, scoring a big 5-ender in the game against the Russians. And that moved her into this 3-4 page playoff game against Canada.
I think we need a high one. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. It's in. Shoot. Okay. Ooh, okay, Kat. Stop.
Yeah, they didn't want to be in the rings.
Getting faster as the game goes on.
Canadian team, it seems, just has had more troubles adapting to the changing ice conditions.
And I think it'd be fair to say that's been the story all week for this team. And it's easy to say that you know, the ice conditions are the same for everybody, so you should be able to adjust. But again, it's not their natural game to play a little bit more defensively. It's not. It's against every instinct in Jennifer Jones's body, I think, to actually hit out some ends, and we saw her do that a couple of times here in this game. But it seemed the last half of this game, certainly the Canadians have struggled with that soft touch, which is usually their strength.
You can't say that Norway did not give them chances. Norway also was confused by the ice. They came deep in almost every draw. There were rocks to freeze to. There were shots so that Canada could get back in the game. They just were unable to put the broom down and throw the right weight at the right time. And like I said, Norway certainly was not standing on their head during this game. They weren't. There was no outstanding shots by Doherty Nordby and her team. It was basically an inability to capitalize on the opportunities that were presented to them.
Litt tyngre. Tyngre. Tyngre.
Og så ta den som bare rakker nå. Kom igjen. Bra, Marianne.
En lite kongeskull.
A couple of opportunities here for Jennifer Jones, even though those Yellowstone guarded. She's happy to have a guard. A couple of guards out front, so going to try to get way around this stone to the back 8 foot.
And as you said, Mike, they did take 3 on Norway in the round robin game and then stole the extra end. And they did that by getting open misses on takeout attempts by Norway, by the 3rd and by Doherty Nordby. So it is possible they know that. It's just, as you said, Dawn, a little improbable, unlikely.
Yep, sorry, Kat.
Okay, Joe.
Oh, it's yucky.
It's very yucky in there.
Yes, they certainly need some help here. One less stone that the Norwegians have to worry about.
We're in a situation now the rest of Team Canada stones have to count.
Can I get around that?
Freeze?
Freeze would be a good option.
Sit on it.
Yeah.
That
Never
works.
thought of that.
Yeah. Good cuff.
3.5.
Yeah.
So Kathy Overton Clapham has to come down and sit right in the pocket that those two Yellowstones are providing at the top of the 12.
Got a curl lot.
Plate's close.
Line's okay.
Freeze it.
5.
Off.
Got a curl.
Off.
6, 7.
Must be heavy. It's not
Got a
curling at all.
curl. Here it comes.
No, it's
7.
whoa. Whoa. Curl. Try, Kath. Okay.
Oh.
Too heavy.
Well, anything on the low side here, and Norway won't have to throw any more stones.
Chance here for Norway to put the Raps on a berth in the semifinal, and they've done just that with this stone by Lynn Githmark. And it's time to shake hands as Norway advances to the semifinal game against Sweden. It will be registered as a 9-5 victory for Dordy Nordby, a two-time world champion, winning titles back-to-back in 1990 and 1991. Disappointment for the team of Jennifer Jones, Kathy Overton Clapham, Jill Officer, and Kathy Gauthier. They had high hopes coming into the World Championships in Paisley, Scotland. Got off to a good start, struggled early with the ice conditions, finished strongly to advance to this 3-4 game with an 8-3 round-robin record, but they are shunted to the sidelines with their loss 9-5 to Dordy Nordby of Norway. Well, the ninth end in this 3 versus 4 page playoff game proved decisive. Jennifer Jones, with her final stone, was looking at 5 Norwegian rocks, and she was just a touch heavy, and the rock did not curl as much as she had anticipated, and it slides through the hole that was sitting at the back, comes to a halt, but it's a steal of 3 for Norway and a commanding 9-5 lead. They ran out of rocks playing the 10th. Norway had 3 stones in the rings, and they counted as a 12-5 Norwegian victory here at the World Championships. In the page playoff system, Cassie Johnson and her Team USA advanced to tomorrow's final with a victory over Annette Norberg. Norberg playing the winner of this Canadian-Norway game in the semifinal, and it will be Dordy Nordby of Norway against Annette Norberg of Sweden. And now let's go down to ice level, where Joan McCusker is standing by with Jennifer Jones.
Thanks, Don. Jennifer, a good start, but teams undoing the last 5. How would you describe what happened the last 5 ends?
You know, we just got caught on the ice again. Instead of getting heavier and curling more, this time it got straight and was faster. So, you know, the ice was inconsistent and we didn't pick up on it, and we just didn't make enough shots.
Are there any lessons that you can take from this event to your next big event, which would be the Olympic trials?
Oh, absolutely. I think you got to learn with each event, and, you know, it was such an honor to wear the Maple Leaf on our back, and we want to do it again, so we're going to work hard and hopefully we'll get back.
What kinds of things will you take to the trials in terms of strategy or ice conditions?
I don't think we really learned much there. We just, you know, it was just more the ice was so inconsistent, and, you know, you got to pick up on it faster than we did, and, you know, they outplayed us today, and they should have won this game, but, you know, we're going to be back.
Thanks, Jennifer, for doing this interview. I know you're disappointed, but Canada's proud of you.
Thanks. Hi, everyone back home. Thanks for everything.
Okay, Don, back to you.
Yes, they gave it their best shot, advancing to the playoff round before losing in this 3 versus 4 page playoff game. And Canada's Jennifer Jones has another huge event on her calendar in this 2005 curling season, and of course that's the Olympic trials in Halifax in December. Well, here's the woman who advanced to the semifinal game, Dordy Nordby. She's with Joan.
Thanks, Don. Dordy, congratulations on your win today. What was the key in beating the Canadian team?
We tried to play very offensive from the beginning, and we had some chance in the first 5 ends, but I missed a draw and 2. But we agreed to still play offensive after the 5th, and then suddenly all the draws was there, and we had the luck, and the Canadian team didn't have that luck. So it ended up actually to be a very similar game to the round-robin game we had against Canada.
And how will you prepare to play Sweden, who's been playing very well all week, in the next semifinal?
We had a very close game against Sweden. We I missed the last draw. It's very fun to play the Swedish team because they also play offensive, so I hope it could be a good game. It's on the same sheet, so yeah, it curls there, but it's very difficult on draws.
Well, congratulations and good luck in tonight's semifinal.
And can I say hello to Donna Hay and all Canadian people I know? Hey.
Thanks, Doherty. Back up to you, Don.
Well, there are a lot of Canadian people who know Doherty Nordby very well based on the number of times she has competed in the Worlds in Canada, Brandon, Hamilton, and St. John. She moves to the semifinal against Sweden. They give the Norwegians a score of 3 on the 10th end, even though they did not complete the 10th end. So it is a 12-5 victory by Norway over Canada in this Page 3 versus 4 playoff game. And of course, Doherty Nordby advances to the semifinal against Annette Norberg of Sweden. And the winner of the semifinal will face Cassie Johnson of the United States in the final that will take place tomorrow. When you look at these statistics from round-robin play leading into this game, it's appropriate, I suppose, in some ways that the top 3 statistical teams are the 3 that are left.
It may be appropriate, but it still is very disappointing for the Canadian team to be up 3 points and then have lost that game in the fashion that they did. It's hard to believe how much frost will affect ice, and if you're a club curler, you don't realize, you don't get into these situations where there's so much frost that it becomes heavier and then becomes keener. That's just something that they're going to have to learn from and hopefully get back to a competition like this and use that lesson wisely.
Well, I think Jennifer said it very well when she made the comment in the interview with Joan, Mike, that they didn't adapt to the changing ice conditions as quickly as Norway.
And I said, I think that's been the story all week with this team, that they have had the most difficulty of any of the top teams coming in, adjusting to what's been going on with the ice here. And, you know, it's a bit of an excuse, and that's okay, but I think the top teams have adjusted better. And at the end of the day, I think you mentioned the stats really belied their record. They were 7th overall. Ended up 3rd in the round robin. They did very well to get to 8-3 with the way they were playing. This is a very talented team, and they'll be back, and we're going to see them, of course, at the trials next year.
Well, certainly disappointment for Jennifer Jones and her team from Winnipeg as they lose in the 3 versus 4 Page playoff game. So it's Norway-Sweden in the semifinal later today.
The World Women's Curling Championships on CBC. Brought to you by Ford. Built for life in Canada. The World Women's Curling Championships on CBC. Brought to you by Tim Hortons. Roll up the rim to win. By the original Strauss Heart Drops. Trust the tradition. And by Karcher. You'll look for things to clean.
(2 Eastern Time, the starting time for the semi-final of the Ford World Women's Championship in Paisley, Scotland, on the main network of the CBC. 12-5, pardon me, the final score. Norway over Canada in the 3 versus 4 Page playoff game. We'll see you later today.